The 30 seconds. Assalamu alaikum wa
I don't either.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's count second now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Muslim Council of Britain election night live with two of your amazing hosts will be with you this evening to discuss the important pertinent issues of elections and what's happening in your neighborhood. You're joined with myself, Abdullah, and I've got my lovely co-host with me.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm
Hamza, do you
Hamza.
want to say a
Nice to
few
meet
words?
you. Yeah, sure. No,
So,
it's amazing to.
Perfect.
Like,
I
hope,
hope you can hear us whether you're watching it on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever channel that you think you're watching it. Welcome, welcome. Inshallah, we have an amazing lineup of hosts, guests, correspondents from the ground itself, just to hear what's happening today, what has been happening, and whether the hungry for change that we've been campaigning for the last couple of months, if not 3 to 6 months, around trying to get everyone out to either register to vote and come out on the day, has been effective or impactful, as you can. So, Hamza, tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get started, so we can get a bit of warm up. I know people are slowly joining us, inshallah.
yeah, no problem. So I'm Hamza. Nice to meet you all. I work as an IT consultant in the healthcare industry, and I guess I've always really been interested in politics, right? And politics more now than ever is just becoming more mainstream, and I think as Muslims over time we've starting to get more engaged. Historically, we haven't really been engaged, but as the political landscape is changing, we're seeing it more in the recent years, more engagement from our community, which is a good sign. And today is going to be a really telling time to see if engagement has gone up or not. So really interested to see the results of today's elections.
Perfect, perfect. We want it to be as engaging as possible, so please like, share, and comment. Start by saying where you're watching us from. It'll be really good to see where in the UK we've got a lovely map. Whether you're joining us from Cardiff, Manchester, Birmingham, or London, or other small towns and cities across the UK, please leave a comment below to say which city that you're joining us, inshallah, from. Hamza, what do you think? What shall we first dive on to start off with? Or what are your thoughts? What shall we start to the talking points on tonight?
Also, I guess some of the bigger talking points I would say would be on um, probably general kind of. I think migration's been quite a big talking point. A lot of people wanting to talk about migration, and it's kind of been on the news a lot. So, what are your thoughts on that?
That'll be really interesting. Definitely, we can talk about migration. Obviously, that's been on the news, and we know how some of our parties are playing with that. We can also maybe explain to you why local election is important. I know there are some people who are watching, and guess what, Hamza? They've not even gone out to vote yet. It's 7 o'clock. They might have a very valid reason, I'll be honest with you. They might be working all day and they're just tired, come home. So they might be just had a long day. So it's really important if you haven't gone out and voted yet. I recommend don't worry about leaving us behind. You can obviously continue on your phone, but I recommend you go to the polling station and do what you need to do. Obviously, the polling station closes at what time, Hamza?
10 o'clock,
10
10 p.m.
o'clock. Spot on. So the polling station closes at 10 o'clock. So what we want you to do is go out and vote as much as possible. Um, um, as you can obviously, Hamza and I can obviously, we're starting the conversation on with local elections. It's important. What are the one, two things that are important, Hamza? You think we need to be talking about why people should go out and vote, especially on the local elections?
I think the important thing to note is that local elections generally have low turnout. So if, as a community, we mobilize, our influence is a lot higher than it typically would be for a general election. So this is really your chance to go out and make a difference, and you will see real change as well. Um, so
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt, and those changes that we need to talk about. And obviously, as you know, with the local council election as well as some mayoral election in some of the areas, you got important information like housing, whether do we need more social housing. You got schools, because obviously local authority have a big say around schools. Bin collection, obviously that's been the talk of the town, right? In some of the cities and towns, we know bin collections and not having bin collections been a major issue.
Yeah,
So it's really important we play on that. Obviously, planning permission, especially as Muslims, got faith groups, mosque opening planning permissions, and your community safety. Obviously, crime impacts us all, be it whether someone nicks a phone off our hand, which is really at the moment like scary thing that can happen to us. Library, youth clubs, and so on. Can you guess? I want to hear the comment section. I don't know how many people are online. Obviously, we're getting slow feedback, inshallah. But obviously, I can see some people slowly coming joining. Um, Hamza, have a guess. How many people are eligible to vote here in the UK? Actually, before I ask the question, what's the estimate population of the UK, Hamza? I apologize for testing you on
no,
screen.
that's fine. Should be
Estimate
around
population of the
65
UK?
million. 65 million?
Oh, spot on. Very good. Very good.
Okay, there we
Well
go.
researched. Okay. From that, how many people are eligible to vote from the
Okay,
65 million?
okay,
Have a guess.
okay. That's a good question. If I was to just guess, eligible to vote, 50 million.
Oh, 50 million. What about those at home? Let's hear some comments, inshallah. Let's see some comments. We've got obviously a few people that from Ilford, they're joining Hertfordshire, mashallah, is really good. 50 million. Anyone else got any other comments? I'll tell you what, it's 30 million. 30
Oh
million is
dear.
not bad. And Alhamdulillah, that's 30 million. Okay, next question for those for yourself, Hamza, as well as those at home watching. How many council seats do you think there are in this local election currently?
Okay,
In the thousand,
just
I'm
for
going to give you a bit
election.
of clue for those that are watching at home. It's in a couple of thousand, probably more or less. But what do you think it is? Those are your local
10,000.
council candidates that are standing, who then are representative of your local authority for those that are at home.
I'm gonna say 10,000.
Oh, bit low, bit low. Let's see what others are saying. Others are saying. Anyone else in the comment section? What do you think? Let us know. Or we can definitely come back to how many council seats. Now, don't cheat. Don't use AI. Don't Google it. Have a guess. Someone said I was on 35 million, 35,000. I could say from the 30 million are eligible. So, Mohsin, well done. You're very close. Alhamdulillah. In terms of council seat, there are 4,500 council seats that will be eligible for people to take. Well done, Mohsin. 1,800, a bit small. Okay. Next question. How many candidates do you think there are standing in the UK in this today council election? Have a guess of the number. And those watching at home, use the comment. We want to hear some numbers. Hamza, what's your guess?
How many councillors are standing? Good
Yeah.
question. Very good question. I would say probably around 20,000.
Oh, close, close, close. That was really good. That was warm. Okay, let's see what people say uh, at home. Let's see what they're saying at home. Anyone, you want to use the chat function? How many councillor candidates do you think there are up and down the country? We figured out there's 4,500 council seats. There's 30 million eligible voters in the country, which is still amazing. And what we really want to know is how many councillor candidates standing in today's local election, May the 7th, 2026 local and council election. Have a guess. 20K at least. You're a bit like Hamza, Mohsin. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Any other guesses? You're both close, by the way. I must say, well done, seriously, Mohsin and Hamza, and those that are watching at home. It's 25,000 candidates standing nationwide across the country. That
Wow,
is
a lot of
amazing,
seats.
right?
Absolutely.
So that in itself is amazing. So tonight isn't just about who wins the council. I think it's important. It's about whether communities feel heard, represented, respected. Obviously, you've got broad spectrum of candidates from all walks of life, all different denominations, faith groups, as well as obviously political parties. We all know who they are and what they are. Maybe we can have a discussion on later. I think one of the things we need to maybe discuss on is around obviously as Muslim Council of Britain, we want to hear about the Muslim votes. Obviously, what are people's thoughts around that? What are the issues as Muslims, or even you could be someone with no faith, or what are the issues that is impacting you? Maybe is it what's happening in Palestine impacting you at the local election level? Like we said earlier, maybe is it the bins that's impacting you? That has impacted you, or is it social housing, or the lack of it? So we really want to start asking you if you could tell us in
Yeah,
your comment section what has impacted you, specifically around this election. Just a little bit of background. Hamza knows, mashallah, we started the Hungry for Change campaign a few months ago, which is around voter registration. Alhamdulillah, we helped register 3,000 new voters. Alhamdulillah. Obviously, a lot of people forget they either move houses or they move on, and so on. So it's really important that 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 we can do that, inshallah. So Hamza, what's impacting you? Can you just elaborate a little bit more and unpack what's driven you that think this local election is important for yourself?
local election. I think it's important because one of the main things we don't understand is there's the also it gives a good indication of where the general election is going to be taking us, right? So on a local level, what we might see is what we might see in 2029 when the next general election is. But what I like to see is you know, community get together, community unite, and one person that's done a really good job in uniting the community in getting members to register to vote is Imam Abdul Salik. And I think we've got Imam Abdul Salik with us now. So I want to introduce you all to Imam Abdul Salik.
Perfect.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Imam. How are you doing? You okay?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you? You okay?
Good,
Doing
Alhamdulillah.
well,
Thank you for joining us this evening, all the way from Hull, I take it.
That's right, yes.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So how's your day been? I know just before we do a little bit of introduction of the Imam, mashallah, who leads the mosque in Hull, as well as led other Imam mosque leads. And mashallah, not just an Imam, a community activist, does a lot of work with young people, helps, advise, supports the community, and obviously, as standard, mashallah, has a scholarly background and family of scholars, mashallah. His father was an Imam himself. May Allah give him Jannatul Firdaus, who's led
Ameen.
loads of community initiative as well. So really appreciate you joining us, inshallah, this evening.
No problem. Thank you very much for the invite. Yeah, it's first we say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. It's a good opportunity to speak. I appreciate you inviting me, Brother Wajid, who contacted me and just asked if I had a slot. And I apologize, I do have a really specific time slots that I can speak at, and I know it was due to be a little bit later on, but I've got a few things that are already in the diary. Yeah, I think it's an important topic, really, especially within the Muslim communities. For some reason, traditionally, we as Muslims, people who frequent the mosques, sometimes avoid voting, sometimes keep away from it, thinking either we shouldn't vote, we're not allowed to vote, our voting doesn't really matter, we don't have a voice, etc. So we try to challenge that. We encourage people to register, number one, and we encourage people to vote. We don't stand on the minbar and tell people who to vote for, but we obviously just say, look, this is the important, this is why we should vote. This is what the impacts of you voting are, and what the impacts of you not voting are as well. I was interviewed very briefly by Brother Wajid at one of the events that I saw you at, with Abdullah as well. And I think that that clip was being used by certain groups, let's call it, with my face all over it, which was quite fun. But it's not the first time I've been in the media, so you know, even that video itself, it was used. There were people trying to use it in the negative. What we were trying to say is, look, we as a masjid, we are in a prime location. I'm in the masjid right now, and in the back area, it's being used as a polling station. So people are coming in, voting and leaving. Obviously, majority non-Muslim, but in this area, our polling station is one of the most attended, historically, most attended polling stations in the city. And it's a place where people feel comfortable to come into. Not only is it breaking barriers, I mean, the far right and certain groups who are standing in for the election will try to use it in a negative way, to say, look, they're holding these things in the mosques, they're infiltrating our country, and they're taking over, etc. But what we're trying to say is we are part of the country, and you as Muslims, you are part of this society and the fabric of the society itself, and you have a responsibility to vote, to have your say. And if you don't vote, then somebody else is going to vote, and they're going to speak against the views that you have, and they're going to have a louder voice than you. So even if we are a small, let's call it a minority, in certain areas especially, we do have a say. And especially with certain groups who are trying to destroy that unity and that fabric of unity within the UK, we need to kind of stand together as one voice and encourage one another really to vote.
That's amazing.
Perfect. No, sorry, Hamza, over to you. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I've just been curious. So, are you seeing people of other faiths come to the masjid to vote, or is it just kind of a Muslim crowd coming to vote?
No. Everybody comes to the masjid to vote, not because it's a masjid, but because it's a polling station. We've just prayed al-Salat al-Asr, and we've had people come saying, "Oh, sorry, which way do you go to vote?" Because we were going through the front entrance to pray, and it's the kind of the third entrance a bit further down, which is the voting. And there's a massive polling station sign on our gate itself. Some Muslims, it's the first time they're voting, first time they've registered, the first time they've been eligible sometimes. So they've come to me and said, "Is the polling station here in the masjid? Where would it be?" This was last night and a few days before. And I said, "Look, this is something we do every year. Our maktab or madrasa classes that we have every day, weekdays, we give it off every voting day, and the community knows that it's part of the system here in the city of Hull." And it's not even about me going out saying the mosques should be polling stations so that we can. It's not even about that. If you are approached as a masjid by the local council to say your masjid, your building is in a prime location for voting, do you have the facilities, number one? Do you have the capabilities to be able to host us as a polling station? Then I would encourage that, because it's going to be like, for example, the people who live in this area, it's on their doorstep. Although I live literally opposite the mosque, my house actually falls in a completely different ward, so I have to travel a little bit further to go and vote. And I have voted, alhamdulillah, with all of my family. But it's in a prime location, and I think it does allow people to know that the mosques, the Muslims, are not the other. They are not doing their own thing. They've not got their own laws and their own policing and their own rules of Sharia law and so on. Actually, we are part of the community, and I think having a mosque as a polling station, and we've had it a long time here in Hull, so people are used to it. I think it just opens people's hearts a little bit more, but also it encourages the Muslim community to feel that their voice matters, their say matters, and I think that's the importance of it.
Thank you very much for that, and you're a shining example of how opening the door of your mosque, allowing others to come in. And Imran commented on Facebook saying Muslim Council UK have to work together with all faith groups, especially the Christian faith group, to create a trust between each other, as things are very difficult now. What would you say? Is this one way of ensuring that we create trust with not only Christians but people of other faiths and none?
I think, yeah, I mean, we should be working with other faiths and none anyway. And building trust. I mean, to build trust means that trust has been broken. And if there is trust that has been broken, I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of our city here. We work well with the local community, with other mosques, with other churches, with other groups. I'm part of the interfaith group here in Hull as well. I'm part of the committee to be, so we have a say in what's going on there. And we are very close with other people within the city itself, of different faiths, of different backgrounds. So I don't think we have that issue as such. However, here in Hull, the city is split between west and east, and where we're based, multicultural. We were the city of culture at one point. There's a lot of people who travel to and from Hull. But the other side of Hull, I will say, is a little bit different, where people like Reform and other parties are starting to get a bit more of a hold. We had the riots which took place in 2024, which showed a real negative side of Hull, and it was quite famous or infamous, let's call it, up and down the country. So working with other groups, with other faiths is important, definitely.
Yeah, just on that point, what do you think is the number one thing that the community really care about, that especially around this local election that you've seen? Obviously, you spoke about the riot last year and the rise of the far right with the protests, especially with the hotels and stuff like that. What's the number one issue that you having spoken to your congregation and the community that people feel are really pressing, especially in today's day of election?
I think there is a slight fear of certain parties, certain groups which seem to promote disunity, and we've seen it firsthand. So it's more about the unity aspect here in Hull. So we've got people of different parties or people who support different parties saying, look, how can we come together to try and unite so that the hate and the hatred and the negativity doesn't preside here in the city of Hull. So we've got actual local councillors who are of certain parties, let's say, who say, look, in this area it would be better, it'd be more tactical, it would be a better decision for you to not vote for us, vote for this group, because this is what's going to keep certain people out. So there's been messages sent out saying in this area this would be the better party to vote for, etc. So it's more about the unity and not letting hatred spill over into our communities.
Jazakallah, I really appreciate your time. I know you have to go, so really conscious. Can I give you last 60 seconds for those that are sitting at home, probably haven't decided, you know what, I can't be asked voting. You know that they polled recently, and I can't recall, they said 27% of people don't actually go out and vote. What would you say to those people who are watching and thought, you know what, voting isn't for me, it's not something I want to get involved in? What's your last core message for those that are sitting at home and thinking, nah?
Number one, I think what you meant to say was those who can't be bothered to vote. But anyway, I think that's the Imam side. That's the Imam side. I think you need to understand that, number one, you should have registered. If you haven't registered, then there's not much you can do. Be ready for next time. But if you are registered, if you are eligible, then you sitting at home and not doing anything is not going to benefit anyone. It's actually going to have a detrimental effect. I think sometimes we say that if we keep away, absence is bliss. Like we don't do anything, we're fine. Actually, it's a negative effect. You going out, your one vote, your family's 5, 10, 15, 20 votes could make the whole difference within the city, within your city, wherever you are up and down the country. So I encourage you to get up off your couches, go for a walk while the sun is out. The weather should be okay. Take your families, go and vote. It's an experience, and know that you are trying to make a difference within your locality. We as Muslims, we will be questioned about every single thing that we do or that we don't do to make a difference. And we don't want it to be that we had the opportunity to make a difference, to say something, to speak out for justice, to speak against injustice. And we said, no, it's okay, I'll remain silent. I'm trying to protect. I don't want to get involved. That's not what we as Muslims are encouraged to do. We are encouraged to be positive role models and active members of our community. And by voting, you can definitely make sure that you are doing that.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair. Really appreciate your time, Imam, and your kind words and your wise words, inshallah. I pray the congregation, inshallah, benefit from you and all the amazing work that you do, and obviously a trailblazer in having a polling station. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, and really have a good evening, and wish you all the best, inshallah.
You too. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalam. Amazing. That was really good to hear. And I've actually never heard of a polling station inside the masjid. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. But yeah, it's good signs at all. Absolutely. I want to take us to Birmingham now, and I know there's a lot going on there. You've got kind of big independent candidates come forward. You've also got a lot of other parties as well, and there's been a lot of back and forth there. So I just want to take us to Birmingham, where we have someone on the ground. Shawson, are you there?
And am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you doing?
I'm great, alhamdulillah. It's good to see you guys here, bringing the energy. Yes, as you can see, I'm in the beautiful city of Birmingham, as some people say, Birmingham Sharif. Especially, I'm in Alum Rock, and Alum Rock is known driving a very high Muslim population, and especially of those the South Asian community. Now, as I come here today, especially in the evening, I can see there's a lot of people, and even when we went to the polling station, there was a huge line that went to the outside, and people coming from their houses, coming to the polling station, voting. And when I asked one of the people who are working at the polling station, I asked them, in terms of the turnout, compared to other years, how much has it been? Has it been a large turnout? And they said it was above average. Now, here I have with me, I have Brother Sahur, who is part of the local community, and has also brought Islam. Brother, how are you? Thank you. So, I wanted to ask you, we've been around the country, we've been trying to get people registering to vote and voting. In terms of in your thoughts, why do you think voting, especially as someone as a Muslim and South Asian background, is important?
Actually, I am thinking, obviously on the Birmingham City Council, last 42 years, I think Labour had 34 years ruling, and the rest 8 years, other party, which was the Conservative and the Lib Dem coalition. So I realized after a long time, still we have a same issue as it is no proper developments, nothing for our youth. This is the main question, what's a bright future for our youth? So I'm thinking till 80, 89, it was a different scenario for the youth. They had a special funding for the youth to teach them like a skilled course. Youth students not going to be in the uni, but still they can earn the money with the skilled. So the government, they stopped that project, and they are not going to spend any penny for the future of youth. That's why we have to think, and we have to the people who lives local, and they can address it betterly. That's why I am thinking at the moment I'm going to support to independent candidates, because they live local, and too many parties going to be contest the election in the Alamrad, but the mostly candidate from the outside. They don't live local, they don't know what's the people have problems. The people are facing too many problems. That's why I decided after a long time we have to give a chance to the independent, because they have a potential, they are talented people, they belong to the youth. So why not we have to give them on this time, but they will do a better services for the community or not.
Yes, thank you very much. And of course, as you mentioned, there's loads of different parties, and of course, people should, within their community, actually said they should vote for a party who they believe is best for them, best for their policy. Now, I want to ask you, how long have you been in this country?
I'm 25 years old.
Okay. And in terms of from how long you've been here, compared to Muslims taking part in voting and being active in that, do you think there's been a change? Do you think it's increased, or do you think that it stayed the same from the years that you've been here? What kind of change have you seen?
I am thinking when I came on this country, so still Muslim people was going to be involved in the voting, going to be involved in the political system as well. Whatever is the House of Commons, House of Lords, Parliament, or the local council body as well. But at the moment I am thinking, our youth, our youngsters, last from few years, they are going to be involved in the politics more than background, because we need it. I'm thinking, if you want to secure your future for your youth, for your kids, so we have to be involved in the political system. Because when you're going to be involved in the politics system, obviously they made a policy how to run the country, how we can do the funding to other communities and the other area as well. If our people is sitting in the parliament or in the local cabinets or in the local city councils, so they can make a better policy for the Muslim community or for the other local community as well, to how to make a better development. So this is the very important. It is a good sign the youth is going to be involved.
No, 100%, I definitely agree. Now, there are still some people who might say that they might not want to vote, or they might think that them voting doesn't make a difference. in terms of people who might think that, if you were to talk to them, what is one thing you'd say to people who, you know, feel like their vote doesn't make much of a difference?
Because I am thinking, they're thinking in own way because they are going to be disheartened, because the system is not going to be changed. That's why some people, they are not going to be involved in the political system. They thinking is nothing changed. Even today, outside polling station, today I spoke to one of the lady. She is really disheartened as well. I say, sister, why? She's got issues. I say, well, try first time, try to independent candidate. If they are not doing anything, then you can say. Otherwise, you have to think about others, because last from long time, of more than 20 years, the people are going to be support to the Labour. But I told her, you know, why not you are giving a chance to the independent? They have a potential, they are talented. And it's a big thing, they lives local area. They lives in the between the communities, in different communities. So they knows the communities issues and how we can resolve the issue. So she agreed with me. So we need to basically to teach to the community, teach to the public, make a nice environmental, how we can teach, how we can convince to them. So we have a different way to convince to the youth, especially in the school, when the kids go in the school. So I am thinking we need to be teach from school as well, because that's a basic route to endorse you how to live the life, how you secure to your country where we live, how we can make a better policy for our community and for the youth as well. So this is the very important to make a plan how we can involve to the youth.
But yeah, Zatul Brother Zabur, that was very insightful to hear your thoughts, and I do thank you. So as you guys can see, you know, there's a lot of people within Birmingham and within this community who are voting for matters that are very important to them. And as we said, that you know, there are loads of parties. There's different parties. There's Labour, Greens, Conservatives. But you should vote for who you think is best for you, who you think is best for your community. And so with that, we'll still be around. We'll be speaking to people. I think for now, though, back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Shawan, for that and for that interview live from Birmingham. Did you know, Hamza, Birmingham has one of the largest Muslim population of any locality here in the UK. Have a guess, for those watching at home, have a guess how many Muslims live in Birmingham? Have a guess number?
I'm going to guess 35%.
That's close, very close. In terms of percentages, about 29.9% of population in Birmingham are Muslim, and that's 1 in 3rd, and that's over 340,000 people, Muslims, live in Birmingham, obviously from the last statistics going up and down. So obviously Birmingham plays a lot of key issues, and like the guests that Shawan interviewed, the issues around youth, unemployment, around feeling a bit like the local parties are not hearing the views and so on. So what we will do, we've obviously had the Imam, then we've gone to Birmingham. And for those that are watching on, please do leave us a comment about what you want us to discuss or any question that you may have with the guest. And what we've got next is our guest, brother from Irfan from the Waltham Forest Council of Mosque. Just a little bit of background about London Borough of Waltham Forest has around 60,000 Muslim residents, make up about 22% of the borough's population. That's 1 in 5, significantly above the England average of about 65%, alhamdulillah. So it's a rich makeup of community in Waltham Forest. So we'd love to hear Brother Irfan. So he'll come on now, hopefully in a little bit. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Irfan.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Yes. Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate having you on us today. Before we deep dive into some of the questions, if you could just tell us a bit about Waltham Forest Council of Mosque, why you were set up, what's your function, that might be great for the viewers and the listening watching us here tonight.
Yeah, Bismillah wa sallallahu Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi sallam. You know, thanks for having us on. Waltham Forest Council of Mosques was set up more than a decade and a half ago now. and it's a collection of all the major mosques in the borough and across all sectarian lines, as you would call it, from Al Hadith, Railway, Deobandi, and it's a really good working model actually for any other councils or mosques around the country, where we work together. Certain issues we keep off the table. Ramadan, moon, we haven't sorted that one out yet. We leave that aside. But every other matter, there's parking, whether it's international issues like Palestine, drugs awareness programs. We've done performance awards, awards for talent in the local community. So many things we've done on a local level. And we've worked together, in a really good fashion, alhamdulillah. And it was set up with that intention. So even we have a graveyard, a Muslim graveyard in the region, and we need to work on that and make that suitable for the public. So every area where there's literally we can work together and our voice is united, is more powerful, we've used those opportunities. And the council and the politicians appreciate that. They can see our unity together is much more forceful. We bring together all 65,000 instead of individual mosques, competing with each other about certain things, because the council can work with one and give favorable treatment to one mosque over the other. But when we work together, we benefit collectively as well. So alhamdulillah, it's been a really good working model, and all the brothers work together like brothers, and alhamdulillah, it's been such a blessing.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for sharing that. And someone like yourself who's on the ground, speaking to so many members and congregation and people, and obviously today's a really important day of elections. What is the number one issue that you haven't spoken to people that the people are actually thinking about voting and that's impacting them? That they've come to you that what, this is what's really bugging me, and this is why I'm going out to vote.
Yeah, I mean, I heard you earlier on. Local elections normally don't get people excited like the general elections do, MPs. But we find a buzz. There's been a real buzz on this local election now. And a lot of it is driven around Palestine and Gaza, and so there's a lot of push towards the Green Party. And I'll address that point in a minute, because some people ask why an international issue is not the remit of a councillor, and why is this an issue? So I'll attack that in a minute. The other side of it is, one is, like I said, Palestine. The other is there is a fear of the government and establishment going to the right more with reform, etc. So there is this idea of if we don't get involved, we're going to lose maybe seats to people who are on the fringe of fascism and racism, and then we'll have a much harder time. So people are recognizing the importance of getting involved at various levels, not just MP level, but councillor level. And just want to tackle this point about Palestine and Gaza and how it relates, because the question on the face of it is quite obvious and sounds logical, that MPs deal with international issues, not local councillors. But there's two main reasons why it's important and why it's valid to have Gaza and Palestine in your mind when you're voting. And one of the reasons is directly impacts local council via divestment of pension funds. So every local council have a pension fund that they, for public servants, and divestment from assets that are directly supporting the genocide and apartheid state of the Israeli regime, those things are impactful. And so if you talk to your council and say they shouldn't be investing in funds that directly help maintain this apartheid system, that's a direct action that you can do with your local council. And we have been blessed. Waltham Forest was the first borough in the whole country that divested from arms and mentioned Israel specifically as a entity and occupied force that needs to be divested away from. So we've had success and benefits in that area. The other reason is, even without divestment, every MP, every councillor, every elected person must have integrity and justice. It's not a optional characteristic, it's a prerequisite to being elected. And so the Gaza genocide is a barometer, a moral barometer for any MP to be measured against. And this Gaza genocide is the crime of our age. It is not, we can't overemphasize it enough. And that needs to be recognized. So every politician, if they stand against it, they're worthy of our vote. If they turn a blind eye to a genocide, they are not worthy of our vote. I don't care which party you're from. So those kind of things are important for us to recognize. Are these people standing? And if you look back, imagine we could go back in time and during the Holocaust. And if somebody said, in any other country around the world, if anyone supports the Holocaust, the Nazi Holocaust, I would not vote that person. That person is not a good person to stand. It'll be a valid decision point, and it'll be a valid reason to decide on a person you're going to put your vote and trust in. So likewise, this is 4K streamed, live streamed. We've seen it for 2.5 years now. Every organization has classified it, scholars of genocide and Holocaust. So we know where we stand, and that's why it's a good yardstick to use against politicians.
Thank you, Brother Ifan, for discussing that. I know it's a pertinent issue for a lot of our voters, a lot of our people around the UK. Gaza is a really important decider, like you said, around the moral values and so on. I just wanted to touch one more question before we sort of move on to our correspondence on the ground. What are the local issues around Waltham Forest that are really turning people from the traditional vote of a traditional party? Have you seen that come across? Is there one particular issue that's really like dividing it, apart from obviously Palestine, obviously, what you just spoke about, local issue?
Yeah, absolutely. So as well as Palestine, there's parking is in our area. I don't know if you heard of Mini Holland. So in Waltham Forest, there's a scheme called Mini Holland. Crazy scheme. So they've blocked roads left, right, and center. They've done one way for cycling. So Mini Holland is supposed to be making it more cycle friendly, but it's become a nightmare for drivers and parking. And people going to mosques have nowhere to park anymore. Access has become a major issue. Now, pollution on one side, because I think pollution is getting worse because cars are piled up on the main roads because they're just stuck in traffic. So we've asked the council many times, during Ramadan, during Eid and Friday prayers, elderly, disabled, they need to get to the mosque as well and pray. So that's become a major issue. And we've tried to get concessions because our area used to be 20, 30 years ago, you could park everywhere, pretty much. Now everything's CPZ, controlled parking zones. So people get tickets, just for trying to attend the mosque. And so that's been a major issue. And the council have given us sometimes give concessions, a lot of times they don't. And they're not fair. We've seen neighboring boroughs have more lenient concessions. So we look at them and said, how do they do it? Why are you not doing it? So it's become whoever's in charge, if they can't give us things we need to fulfill our acts of worship, that's going to be a big deal. And it is, especially in our area, because of this Mini Holland plan. Mini Holland's not over all of London. It's been, I think, 3 boroughs in the whole of London. So it's not the same experience for every borough. But for ours in Waltham Forest, it's a major issue. And it's become, a political point that whoever gives us these concessions, they're going to get our vote. So that's also another one on a local level, which is a big deal.
Ron, I've got a question for you. So typically what we see sometimes, unfortunately, especially sometimes in our community as well, there's sometimes a bit of vote splitting. So you'll have certain members that they're pushing the Gaza agenda, but then you've got multiple parties, right? You've got multiple people pushing the same thing, asking for the Muslim vote. Is vote splitting an issue in your area?
It's always going to be an issue. I mean, we have various levels. We have people who are fully in tune and know how to do things, but there's a naivety. So maybe a large scale, people are not familiar. They need to be told exactly who to vote for, and they do it on one issue. If they have an issue with Labour, for example, they say, I'm not voting Labour, even if that candidate might be the best candidate, given all the candidates in their area, in their ward, because there's many wards, as you know, in MPs, many fewer candidates. So there is an issue to understand the issue at your local level as well, because candidates, we've always said at the Council of Mosque, candidates are more important than parties, because parties, we don't agree with everything a party has, but a candidate, when Corbyn was head of Labour, everyone was okay. You saw Labour membership went to the record highest, over 500,000, because the candidate. And when Starmer came in, record numbers of people who joined the party left. And so you can see candidate is more important. And at local level, it's hard to have that oversight. So people have different views. And there's a joke about this that you see, if you had 10 Muslims and you ask them what their political objective was, you probably get 11 answers. And because everyone's got their own view. So it's hard to get consensus, one issue, and everyone's got their own view. So there is going to be splitting, but there is a benefit from splitting as well. Tactical voting, if applied correctly, and people on the same page and had time to learn, tactical voting would be very useful to get the best people in place. And it might be across party lines. But again, there is a naivety, a lack of information, people, staunch and stubborn on their opinion. So it's hard to then, make headway.
Totally understand. And I just want to say mashallah again in terms of the organization you have. are kind of an umbrella which encompasses all the masjids in your local area. You guys are, in helping people register to vote. You're working as a single unit, which is really good to see. And inshallah, we can see this across the UK in the future as well. So thank you for joining us, Irfan. We won't keep you anymore, and have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. For those that are watching at home, please leave a comment if you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We really want to know where you're watching the show, whether be it from London or Huddersfield or Nottingham or Oldham, inshallah. So leave a comment so we can give you a shout out. Also, we want to hear your views and your thoughts. Definitely, what are the reasons that you might change your vote? What are your thoughts about today? And most importantly, if you haven't voted yet, please do so now. Oh, we've got a comment, mashallah, from Imran saying he's from Oldham. Thank you very much. Any other places? Oh, we got, as you can see, bottom of our screen, amazing. We can see where you're coming. We can also see some of the comments as well down up here. We've got our next correspondent lined up now. Wajia is all the way from Newham. She'll be joining us now. Did you know it's one of the largest Muslim population? Just like Birmingham, it makes up about 34.8% of the borough's population. So 1 in 3 population people in Newham are Muslim. That's over 122,000 Muslims that live in Newham, according to obviously the 2021 census. Wajia, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. How's the day been in Newham?
Yes, Assalamualaikum. It's been very good. You can see behind me, it's been very, very busy. There's been queues of people coming to vote. It's been very active. There's been people campaigning all day, and I anticipate that they're going to be staying here until 10 p.m. and counting the votes as well. We've seen loads of placards. We've seen people really engaged. So it's been very, very lively. We've seen a mixed demographic as well. There's been a lot of different ethnicities, different genders, different ages, people bringing their children to see them partaking in civic engagement, which has been really, really fantastic. I also have Sumaya here with me now. Sumaya actually voted this morning before work, so I wanted to interview her and get her thoughts on what she thought about her voting and her own civic engagement. So, Sumaya, what does voting mean to you?
So I voted in the morning today before work because I wasn't going to have time after. And the reason why I made the effort to go because I think that the local elections are quite important, despite it being local. Of course, they have benefits to the local citizens, and I think sometimes compared to the larger elections, you don't really hear much on what the parties can do for us. But of course, I think the host before mentioned they have housing benefits and environmental benefits and even students and things like that. But I think I was quite surprised actually because on the way to voting, there was so many different campaigners, but of the same demographic of independents and Greens and Labour and things like that. So I think definitely this time around compared to past local elections, there's going to be a loss of control in these local elections. I think it will be much it will be split a lot more compared to previously, especially because it comes from the same demographic. I think you can see we've got a lot of South Asian, but we do have other people as well. But yeah, I think in terms of engagement, I think it's really important. I think a lot more Muslims are starting to realize how important voting is, despite it local, major, doesn't matter, because of course it's about what benefits you and how can it benefit my family and my school and my children, things like that. But also how can I sleep at night knowing I voted for a company that supports the genocide, a party that was the genocide, to one that's anti-genocide, right? So I think it's definitely Muslims are starting to think about it more and genuinely consider voting more. But despite that, I think it's harder for them. I think there's a lot more parties, there's a lot more independent candidates that are more that are really trying to campaign, and it's making it difficult for especially the elderly Muslims to vote. But yeah, I definitely think that as you can see, there's a lot of people voting. It's really important.
And what does the anticipation of potential loss of control, split votes, spoiled ballots, what does that mean to you, and how does it make you feel about local politics?
I think it's a bit nervous because obviously when you want people to vote, because obviously they want people to vote, but if they think Labour's going to win, Conservatives going to win, they're not going to want to vote because it's wasted. So if they hear that, you know, it was split, or like there's like this party on the rise and things like that. I think it encourages people to either like waste their vote or like just vote for like, you know, a party that supports genocide because they think there's no point in voting. But I think like at the same time, I guess it causes a lot more engagement, like a lot more people are interested.
Do you think people are more politically educated, especially Muslims in our community? Especially, I think, older generations from previous times. I've noticed that there's an increase in political engagement and education. What would you say?
I would say definitely education and engagement, not even just in terms of voting, but just even learning about like, okay, what even is the Green Party? What is the Labour Party? What do they actually do? Like, what do they stand for? Like, things like that. I think even like if Muslim voters don't vote, they definitely know about it. They definitely know like what's it about, and like they're definitely like, you know, starting to understand the significance of it a lot more than compared to before.
Amazing. I have some final quiz questions for you. How many MPs do you think there are in the UK that are Muslim?
Oh, I don't think there's a lot. Maybe like 10, 15.
There's actually 25.
No way.
And how many Muslim councillors do you think that there are?
Muslim councillors? Like a few more, so like maybe like 100?
There's actually 300.
300. Yes. Wow, that's quite a lot.
Thank you so much, Samia. As you can see, the queue is still growing in Newham and people are still engaging. But thank you so much for joining us from London, and I will send this back to the speaker.
No worries. Thank you very much. There's also a child behind you. You need to remind them that they can't vote. You have to be 18 and over to vote, just to remind everyone. But thank you very much.
Perfect. While we have our next guest on, while we wait, just a little bit of fact finding. Please do leave a comment where you're coming from. Hopefully, our producer will appear at the bottom. Perfect, brother from Bolton. Perfect, very much. Who's joined us, which is amazing. I'm sure there's a few more people around the world that have obviously joined us. We've got someone from Essex as well. Perfect. Thank you for joining us. Hamza, just a bit of quiz question while people are joining slowly. Obviously, we're hoping people go out and obviously vote. If you haven't and you're watching this, you've got literally 2 hours left. 10 o'clock, polling station closes. So if you haven't done that yet, don't worry about us. We're not going to be upset that you're leaving us behind. Our hearts are not going to get broken. We want you to go and do your civic duty. Just out of interest, we just had Newham someone from Newham, Wajia, with someone around that. What do you think is the Muslim population? I know I said Newham already. I gave it away at 34%. Just around London, how many percentage is the Muslim population at? Or you can, those watching at home, what's the percentage of Muslims living in London? We spoke earlier about Birmingham. So have a guess.
Okay, so if Birmingham is going to be 30%, so that's obviously, you know, they've got a higher percentage of Muslims than London. So I'm going to guess and say that London is 15 to 20%. Well, I'm going to steer towards, I'm going to go 20%. Let's go. 20%.
Let's see what people at home are saying, whether they're watching it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, subhanAllah, so many social media channels. So let's see what people are going to say before I reveal how many percentage of Muslims living here in the UK. For those that are just tuned in, welcome to the Muslim Council of Britain Election Night Live, as we discuss what pertinent issues are facing Muslims, as well as trying to encourage those that are sitting at home to go out and vote. Alhamdulillah, as you may know, we've done an amazing campaign called Hungry for Change, where we've registered how many voters, Hamza? How many new voters have registered through our campaign?
Was it 300,000?
300,000?
30,000.
I'll take it zero out, maybe, a couple of zeros out.
Sorry. All right, no, sorry, I think I got
3,000, which is still an amazing figure. 3,000 people, new registered voters because of the MCB campaign. We've got over 200 champions, get out to vote champions. We've been doing an amazing job in the last couple of weeks, making sure people in the community, in the mosque, are going out to vote. Our imams and the masajids that we had Imam Abid early on, using the mimbar, and addressing the congregation to encourage them to vote. It's our civic duty. We've had so many imams and sheikhs who've gone out and said to the community it's such an important duty to definitely go vote. Obviously, we've just had a guest from Irfan from Waltham Forest Council Mosque saying it's about the candidate, but the quality of candidate, what they do believe in, what's the moral compass, where do they stand on issues around, like he was talking about, parking issues, issues around bins that we spoke about earlier around Birmingham, or issues around social housing, be it up north in town like Oldham's. So those are loads of issues that are obviously impacting our community here in the UK. I just wanted to ask you, Hamza, while we wait for our next guest to come on, do you think people are optimistic about today and the outcome, or are they going in terms of, are they voting because there's a hope? What do you think those that are at home, while Hamza thinks about this question, do you think, are you optimistic? Is there a little bit of hope, and that's probably why you're going out there to vote? Or is there some sort of anxiousness or like uncertainty, and that's maybe allowing you to go out of the vote, or maybe that's not allowing you to go out to vote? What are your thoughts, Hamza, on that?
Yeah, I think it's two things. So there is been a bit of a political resurgence in the Muslim community over the past few years, which is really positive to see. And we saw that with independent Muslim candidates being voted in without even a political party affiliation. So there's that side of things where there's an increasing amount of political engagement. But then I wouldn't say optimism, because there's also the surge in other parties, like the other far right parties, which are now coming onto the scene. And that linked up with increased in amounts of hate crimes amongst Muslim populations. I think there's not, I wouldn't say optimism, but there's concern as well. I would say that there is a lot of concern in certain areas of the UK. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. So whilst we might see in certain areas independent candidates and green candidates and parties which aren't really mainstream come in, we also might see a kind of a resurgence in far right parties coming. So it'll be important to see what the results are.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We have our next guest, who's obviously close to us all. So if you're watching at home, we have with us Dr. Wajid Akhtar, the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain, who, as you know, gets selected. Muslim Council of Britain has over 500 members, organizations up and down the country. If you are an organization or a mosque or institution and you're not a member of Muslim Council of Britain, you should definitely join by going to www.mcb.org.uk. There are loads of benefits of being a member. One, you get to decide on who the elected officials are within the Muslim Council of Britain, like the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, and as well as the National Council, who steer the organization in terms of strategically as well as on the ground. But then you also have an opportunity to build capacity. MCB offers various training program at the moment. There's Growth Lab, training workshops from suicide to dealing with mental health to how do you get more young people involved in the organization. So those are some of the capacity building things. And third and the final thing that we Muslim Council of Britain do really well is around advocacy, around the rise of Islamophobia, the stuff that you see on the news, and speaking sometimes on issues that are really impacting, be it what's happening around Palestine, be it what's happening on the news, around mosques being attacked, and so on, supporting organizations. So that's what Muslim Council of Britain does. So we are happy and glad to have Dr. Wajid join us with us this evening. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Wajid.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khairan for having me here.
Barakallah fi. Thank you for having us. Before I ask you any question, have you voted? Question number one.
Yes, I raced back from work and made sure I voted.
Thank you for having us. I know I spoke a little bit about Muslim Council of Britain and the work that they do. Could you just start by telling us a little bit of work around, especially around the voter registration? Why was it pertinent? Why do we need to actually get people out to vote? Why do we need to actually participate in this form of democracy? Or what are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, Jazakallah for having me here, and I love what you guys are doing, mashallah. This live stream, it's a little bit of a dream come true because we need to politically empower our community. We need to spiritually empower it, economically empower it. We need to politically empower it, and we're not going to politically empower it by just telling them off. You vote. Why aren't you voting? What's wrong with you? Arguing with them, whatever. We need to make it fun. We need to make it interesting. We need to make it something that they want to engage in. And there's not a lot that we can learn from the Americans, but one of the things that they do well, they are very good when it comes to elections. They're very engaged. Everyone's very interested. They do get out the vote campaigns. They do watch parties. So we're trying to introduce that here in the UK. This is basically a watch party. You can imagine that if it was a general elections, we'd find out the prime minister by the time we get to the end. Right? So we're trying to generate that excitement, and it's so important because we really need to politically empower our community. If we don't, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
No, without a doubt, and I'm glad you obviously mentioned our across the pond, our brethren from across the pond, and how they've obviously galvanized the community in New York and other parts. How do we? I know you followed and you've had someone go up there and learn. What's one lesson that we can take from them that we can replicate here in the UK?
If there was one lesson, and it's my one request to whoever's watching, or if you're watching the playback, we need to invest, not just in on the day of the election. Right now I'm seeing all the WhatsApp groups sharing who you're voting for, are you voting yet? Today it's still important, but if you were doing this work 1 year ago, it will be a completely different situation. We need to. This should be the beginning of the journey, not the end. Hamdani didn't just turn up 1 month, 2 months before the election and just go, guys, vote for me, and then everything fell into place. He's been working at it for years. So let's get some get out the vote champions, inshallah. Let's have a get out the vote champion in every borough in the country who's working from now to register people, to engage people, to educate people, to coordinate people, so that our voice is more powerful, inshallah.
I was just speaking to a friend of mine on WhatsApp, and they went, obviously, as you can imagine, and they forgot the photo ID. I've got a feeling a lot of people probably went to the polls and forgot the photo ID, and maybe have been put off by it. What ID do you require, Doctor, to go to the poll for you to be eligible to vote?
Any photo ID works. Your driver's license, your passport. If you've got a valid photo ID, they'll count it. They're very helpful. If you don't have a photo ID, let's say you just turned 18, you haven't got your driver's license yet, your passport's off for renewal, you can ask them to send you a photo ID, and they will do that. The deadline finished a little while ago. I would say just make the effort. I know you made the intention, you went, and then you forgot your photo ID. It's a real headache to go back. Just do it. Someone was saying yesterday in our national council meeting that in a major election in India, the candidate who was pro-Muslim lost by 1 vote out of 300,000. You never know. Make the intention. Your job is to do the work. You make the intention. The results are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I've got a quick question for you. So in terms of this election, there's a lot going on. You've got the kind of surgence of independent groups, which we're now seeing in Redbridge and in Birmingham. You're also seeing far-right parties being projected to win major gains across the UK. Labour are expected to make massive cuts as well. They're forecasted. So what are the top few things that you're going to be keeping an eye out in this election?
I'm obviously, like everyone else, I'm going to see how things are working, whether the Muslim community managed to organize themselves, whether the anti-racist part of the community, which is the majority, managed to organize themselves. Let me give you some ideas, right? The people who are really far right are a very small minority in this country, right? And people who are even sympathetic towards them, they're still a minority. But the problem is that minority, they're very coordinated. You know, they will vote between 1 or 2 parties maximum. Between those who are against, they will vote between 5 or 6 parties, and many of them won't vote. So what's really important for us to realize is that this tactical voting is an extremely important concept. If you're not going to be tactical voting, you're going to constantly lose because you've got 10 parties on 15%, and the party on the far right party on 16% wins. Well, tough. You have to at some point as a community, because the politicians are going to be politicians. They're never going to say go vote for somebody else. We need to make that choice for ourselves, and we need to see if whether we've got that right. My suspicion is that we probably have not. There are some communities that are very coordinated. You've seen them. They've sat down. They've had hustings. They've made come to a combined decision. But there are many that are still not as coordinated as it could be, and that we want to make that change, inshallah. The other thing is, I suspect that a lot of people voting for the far right are doing so as a kind of protest vote. But I'm just speaking to the British public here. Many of these charlatans that are running in these parties are the same people who destroyed the economy, right? It's why we're all poorer. This country is losing 200 billion pounds a year because of some of these individuals, these same individuals. And if you're voting for them, then really we need to ask ourselves, what's going on here? Why are we doing this? Why is the country thinking about getting themselves in a position where they're voting for people who actually really harmed the economy and have no valid policies apart from send everyone who isn't the same skin color as them back home? We need to start asking those questions and realize that actually this is a narrative problem that not only Muslims but many immigrants, those who are anti-racist, we have a problem in terms of how we're communicating our message. Otherwise, we're not getting across to the average person on the street. We're not resonating with them, and they're getting really upset, and they're just going for essentially a protest vote or for whoever they think might be able to solve their problems.
Thank
So I
you.
bored everyone to speak.
No. We were in between thinking. It's really important that actually you spoke about that one around obviously voter frustration around what the other side are doing and so on. As Muslim voters, do you think there's a couple of people who are either ignorant, there's other people who are either lazy, or what should be one of the motivations that you think people from the ground or people that you've spoken to should allow people to really go out and vote? Even if they think, I'm not bothered about this election, it doesn't impact me, I'm comfortable, I've got a nice house, I've got a nice home. Or they could be the other way where, them politicians, they never listen to us, they're all liars, and they do all those bad things, they've got no moral high ground, and I'm not going to vote for anyone. What do you say to people like that who are on the either aspect of the of opinions, and they're like, I can't be asked? How would you convince them? I know it's a difficult one, and apologies for a difficult question.
That's exactly what we need to do, right? That is exactly what we need to do. We need to be able to speak to them and explain to them that, hey, I know you've got everything you want, but if you do not take part in the process, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up being a slave of the people who do take part in the process. You can't, when they turn around and say you can't have anywhere to get buried, right? We don't need Muslim burial spaces, there's too many. Then what are you going to do? When they turn around and say, no, we're not going to allow you an extension. Yeah, I know the Muslim community is 10,000 in this place, but you just need to work it out yourself. That's your problem. We're not going to give you more extension to your mosque. Or when they turn around and they say, we're going to invest your council taxes in a company that is making weapons that are supporting genocide. These things, it's a luxury that you don't have. It's like saying, I'm not going to march, I'm not going to boycott because the genocide's not affecting me. It's a heartless thing to say, and it's a guarantee that it means that one day it will affect you, because that's the way these things work, right? It comes back to you. You will taste the bitter fruits of what you have sown. Now, on the other side, when somebody says, look, all politicians, and this actually happens much more often in the Muslim community, we're a little bit more cynical, and we say, what's the point? They're all losers, they're all corrupt. What's the point of voting for any of them? There's a 0 to 100% mentality we have in the Muslim community, right? Where we say, unless we get 100%, unless we see the result right now, what is the point? What's the point of working? I'm not a millionaire. Yeah, but you need to work to become a millionaire. What's the point of playing football? I'll never be, I'll never score a goal. Yeah, you need to work and you need to get better. You need to, for everything in life, you need to work, you need to put the effort, and you don't get the results straight away. You work towards those results. But we've seen those results, right? You've seen them in New York. You've seen them in Borton and Denton. You see what happens when you do actually get off your backside and coordinate and work as a community. Let's do that, inshallah, and speak with respect to people. There are people, like we don't shout them, don't belittle them, have a conversation. But this is what I mean. It takes time, one by one. I want to ask people, even today, people say, oh, what's the point of doing the live stream? There's only like 10, 20 people watching. Yeah, it starts here. But inshallah, 5-10 years from now, there'll be thousands of people. We'll be having a real event which people will come to, and people will want to be there at the MCB election night special, and people will want to know what you're doing, because this community, the Muslim community, can make not just a difference, can make a critical difference in the elections of this country. We have the power. We just need to try and use it, inshallah.
Just another question.
Sorry, Hamza. I was going to say thank you. I think what you said, and tonight is about more than results. I think, as Malcolm X said, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And it is about preparing for it today. And the future does belong to us. Over to you, Hamza.
Yeah, no worries. Just really curious on so once these elections are done, what's the MCB's plan coming up to the general elections, which could be in 2029 or could be earlier? So is there like a game plan for going beyond May the 7th?
We've got the game plan already. This get out the vote champions. We want to keep them, and we want to grow that number, right? We want to build this cohesive team around the country that's working from now, registering, coordinating, educating, so that when we turn up to the general elections, it's not going to be, oh, what do we do? When is the date? How do I register? Am I allowed to register because I'm from overseas? Yes, you can, because you're a Commonwealth citizen. Like all these questions that you can Google or check on, Claude or whatever. You won't need to ask them, because people will be not just like ready, but they'll be raring to go, inshallah. That's our aim. We're going to double down. We're going to work harder. If you want to be part of this, by the way, if you're watching and you're saying, you know what, I could be a champion. What does a champion do? All a champion needs to do is convince their friends and family to register to vote and to get out and vote. That's all you need to do. Nothing more. Literally, just bug your family and your friends and tell them to get out and vote. And if you think you can do that, then tr.ee /MCBGOTV. MCBGOTV stands for Get Out the Vote. tr.ee /MCBGOTV, and you can get out. You can be a Get Out the Vote champion, inshallah.
Amazing. No, really, really good to hear. And it's positive to hear that there's organisations out there that are being very proactive in this. So, thank you.
Before you go, one last question. And those at home watching, if you got a comment, please do leave a comment on the section. We can have it appear as well. Obviously, with that link as well, with the TRE link is also on our comment section as well, so you can find it. I'm going to ask you one difficult question. I apologize again. I started with a difficult one.
I love the difficult questions. We need to go for the difficult questions, but don't ask me the specific questions. I'll make it up. But I love the difficult questions, because those are the good ones.
What do tonight's results say about the direction of communities across Britain want this country to take? So after tonight, 10 o'clock, obviously results are going to be counted. There might be a certain wave towards what would that say, depending on the wave that the direction goes towards?
Look, what will it say, right? Either there are certain parties which are predicted to do really well, are going to do well. The traditional parties are not doing as well. I think what it's going to tell us is that we have work to do to convince our fellow citizens, our the in this country, the people who are our neighbors, our friends who live on the street, about what's important for all of us, that we're better off united. We need to make that case. Can't keep complaining. Don't complain that the right wing are so much better at making people feel like they're the answer. Right? Complaining is for losers, and we should not be losers because we've done losing for 100 years now, right? I think we should try to be winners for once in our lives. And winners don't complain about the winner, about who is actually in the lead. They change themselves. They're like, okay, how do I adjust my messaging? How do I reach out more better to people? How do I change my spokespeople? What do I do differently to get our message out? What do we need to change within ourselves? Maybe we need to change something about ourselves, right? So we need to start thinking about that, even if the right-wing parties don't do so well. But I think they're going to do really, really well because people are really upset. Ask people, why are they upset? You know why they're upset? I'm upset because the economy is tanking. I'm so angry that Israel and America went to war against Iran and destroyed the British economy. We had nothing to do with it. Why are they doing that? Why are we not pushing back harder against this? I'm angry that the NHS is doing so badly because it doesn't look like there's anyone who's coming up with good ideas on how to fix the NHS. And I'm annoyed as hell about the housing situation because young people are working day and night and they cannot afford to buy a house. No wonder we're losing productivity as a country because they're like, what is the point? I'm 30 and I still live with my parents, right? So people are pissed off, right? I hope someone can believe that, but people are annoyed. People are annoyed and they have every right to be really, really angry. And we need to say, you know what? There's no point getting angry at us because by and large, we're helping to try to fix the NHS. We didn't create the housing problem and we didn't tank the economy. Those guys did. The ones who are telling you to be angry at us, they're distracting you, but let's come up with some solutions. That's what it's going to tell us. It's going to tell us that it's time. We still have a chance to turn this thing around. Let's take it, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Really, really appreciate your time, Dr. Wajid, and the amazing work that you do with your team at the Muslim Council of Britain, volunteers and staff who are really trailblazing and game-changing in terms of not just about the election, but around building capacity, grassroots, and really trying to get a momentum, a movement going, inshallah. For those that are watching home, do leave us a comment. Let us know how you're feeling. What are the biggest issues that's impacting? Like what Dr. Wajid said, is it about yourselves? Is it about your community? Is it about what's really like bugging you? Inshallah. And I really want to pick on what Dr. Wajid said, which is around about yourself. As we all know, as the Quran reminds us, and Allah says in the Quran, indeed Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So tonight, that change begins with participation, responsibility, and action. Action to actually go on and walk to the polling station, to take in your ID, told your friends and your family and your neighbors to go out and did your research to make sure that you have the best person, the best capable person to represent you, the most effective person to be able to take the community forward, especially on pertinent issues, local issues like the cost of living crisis, the cost of petrol, the cost of food, which is going up, as well as council tax, the bin collection, the potholes, the parking, and so on. So it's about really trying to find the right people to represent us, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Wajid. Any final words before you depart? I know you're about to depart, inshallah. Any final words?
My final words, I think, because I think there will be some from our citizens who are watching and saying, from the right wing, who are like, they're really annoyed, they're really upset, they've drunk the Kool-Aid, they're like, these guys, they're all groomers, they're murderers, they're destroying our country, they're taking over. What I would tell you is, come and speak to us. We're human beings, right? We're more likely to be your lawyer, your restaurant owner, your doctor, your neighbor, your teacher, your friend. Come and speak to us and find out whether really what you've been told is true. Don't believe the caricatures. Don't believe what's out there in the news. Come and speak to us and you'll be pleasantly surprised what you see, that actually we have a lot more in common, and we're here to work with the rest of the country to build a better Britain, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, inshallah. I know Maghrib is upon us soon. We also have another correspondent from another city who we can join us. But I thought it might be good to get a video. We can watch of a video of community leader to say a few words about why it's important to vote. Just a reminder for those that are watching, tuned in live. You're watching the Muslim Council of Britain election night live with myself, Abdullah, and Hamza. We're both presenting, and we're here till 10 o'clock when the poll obviously closes. Obviously, I may depart. We have another host with us, but we're also going around the country with correspondence. We've already been in Birmingham, Newham, if you missed it. And obviously, you can watch this again. Do leave us a comment. We really want to know your thoughts, we think we should what we should discuss, and so on. So whether you're watching it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, please press share, please like, please comment. So far, alhamdulillah, it's been really engaging. We've had so many comments and so many salam. Do tell us where you're tuning in from. We'd love to have you appear at the bottom of our screen. The tech can obviously share that as well. Hamza, how are you feeling so far? How do you feeling the night's gone so far with us being on air the last hour and a half, inshallah?
It's been really interesting to see how Muslims across the UK are engaging, and it seems like this year, more than ever, there's been a real change, there's been a real drive across the country, and it's something that's quite good to see. It's, there's a bit of a united force in terms of motivating each other, getting out to vote. So really positive to see, and it's good that we're also thinking ahead. We're not just thinking about this election, we're also thinking about the next general election. And I think as a community, we need to kind of look and address a lot of issues, right? So if in the media you're having certain issues that are being pushed across, how are we as Muslims, everyday ordinary Muslims, going to counter this? What are we going to do, right? So is it about cleaning your neighborhoods? Is it around meeting your neighbors, engaging with them, talking to people about your work, right? You might be the reason why they change their perspective on Muslims, and that might impact the next general elections if this is something that we take across the country. So really positive signs today, and I just hope we can kind of take away a lot of lessons from today as well.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair. Really appreciate it. What we'll do, we've got our video. So last year Muslim Council of Britain went around the country, listened to your views, what's impacting Muslims, and we went to small towns like Leicester, big cities like Birmingham, and all across the country. It was online and in person, and we called it town hall. A town hall is a place where people air their views, some difficult conversations, some awkward conversations, what's impacting Muslims, what should be the priority of the Muslim Council of Britain. So we've got a really good highlight reel video around the town hall video, what people said and what was the impact. So I'm going to ask our producer to play the video now, so we can hear a little bit about the town hall that took place last year and the impact. Over to you.
What is the biggest issue facing British Muslims? Is it Islamophobia, or inadequate housing, or a lack of education? Is it drug abuse? Is it that we have too few opportunities, or is it just straight poverty? Maybe conflict in other parts of the world is affecting our mental health, as well as pressures here, from elderly care to job insecurity, to safety on the streets, to domestic abuse. What is it that really deserves our attention? The truth is, it depends on who you are, where you live, and what you hope for. Since January 2025, we've been to more than 30 towns and cities and held more than 1,000 meetings. From Manchester to Birmingham, from London to Leicester, our regional town hall events brought together hundreds of Muslims from every walk of life. Together, they painted a powerful and sometimes painful picture of the British Muslim experience. We heard stories of struggle. Converts spoke of abuse and domestic violence. Refugees spoke of feeding a family on just £9 a week and navigating untreated PTSD. There are increasing mental health issues in communities where sufferers are stigmatized, where imams lack training, and where faith-sensitive NHS services are simply not available. Turkish, Middle Eastern, and North African communities felt excluded from mosque leadership, Far Eastern Muslims being virtually invisible. And even professional Muslims described hitting glass ceilings, facing Islamophobia in the workplace, often with censorship on expressing their concerns. School pupils spoke of hiding their Muslim identity due to bullying, and then, in university, student Islamic societies struggle with underfunding compared to other faith groups. Many Muslim initiatives run on passion, not pounds. We know what you're thinking. This is a lot. Maybe even too much? But up and down the country, we found people working hard, from providing education to refugees, to opening soup kitchens, to making mosques more inclusive, to advocating for victims of Islamophobia. But what if each of these small movements for change could connect? What if they were not isolated and fixing a local problem, but could replicate their solutions for other parts of the country? And what if we started building a national, regional, and local structure that coordinated solutions for all our challenges? We want to thank everyone who came forward to talk to us. The Muslim Council of Britain is working to unite, empower, and serve Muslim communities. So the question now is not what the biggest issue is, it's whether we can come together to solve them.
I hope you found that video useful and informative. The town hall was an amazing opportunity for the team here at Muslim Council of Britain to go across the country to hear some really, really important, pertinent issues impacting us. And the video highlights the work that we need to do. We need to come together with our vision of unite, empower, and serve. And so, without further ado, we have our next host with us, who will be taking you till 10 p.m. I hope the last hour and a half you've had a really good insight. We were very fortunate to have Imam Abid from all the way in Hull, who are a polling station, a trailblazing masjid, mashallah, more than a mosque. They do youth work, community work, food bank. They work with community groups across Hull, interfaith work. And he spoke about the importance of having a centre like his where all faith and none come together to vote. Then we heard from Irfan from Waltham Forest Council of Mosque, who have an infrastructure umbrella organization, and he spoke about the pertinent issue of Palestine and how that's impacting people, as well as local issue around parking and around low traffic network, which is really nice to hear. We also heard from our correspondent Shawan from Birmingham around issues around the frustration they feel with politicians and their guests, and then Wajia all the way from Newham and her guests around how we saw a very busy polling station. So, it's amazing. Alhamdulillah. Hamza, how's your evening been so far while we get Zahra in this conversation as well?
Evening's been well, really good conversations so far, and I'm looking forward to some of the conversations that are yet to come as well. Got some, as you mentioned, some of the independent MPs that were elected. We're going to be hearing from them, so it'll be really good to hear how their kind of story in terms of their life as politicians have been. But yeah, really, really interesting. I haven't had a look at any of the polls though, but it would be interesting to see what some of the polling is saying about some of the results today. I know you get unofficial polling that does come out, but it would be good to take a look at that. But yeah, really, really interesting conversations. Abdullah, in terms of, I know you're based in East London, right? So how's it been in East London? What's the political climate like there?
You mentioned East London. East London is very active, mashallah. Obviously, I've been up and around East London. Tower Hamlets, as you know, is very active. There's a couple of independent candidates. There's independent parties. As always, Tower Hamlets is beautiful to watch. People are very active and very involved in the community. They care. deeply about what's happening. So Tower Hamlets is very vibrant. If you do want to witness a really nice election, I'll be honest with you, Tower Hamlets. Obviously, I've been around Redbridge as well. Redbridge, obviously, they've got a new independent party. Obviously, Labour are currently in control of that administration in Redbridge. So there's a big hoo-ha around that. So that'll be really interesting to see where Redbridge takes us. And then obviously Newham also has an independent party that's also trying to go against Labour. Obviously, Labour's established. There's a mayoral Labour election. So in Tower Hamlets and Newham, there's a mayoral election. Hackney is also very interesting. And there's rumours around polls around Greens doing very well in Hackney as well as Waltham Forest. So Greens are possibly are going to get a lot more council seats around Waltham Forest and Hackney, as well as probably Newham and Tower Hamlets and Redbridge. So so a lot of interesting things are happening around East London. What about yourself? Tell us where you're from and how is it looking there, and what's the
Yeah.
landscape?
So I'm from based in West Sussex, Crawley, and over here we don't have a bigger that much of a big Muslim population, but typically we've had a lot of Labour council seats, and because of the shift in the political climate in the UK, Crawley's been a bit of a hotspot. So as we're located near the airport, we have a lot of hotels, and because of that, we host a lot of the refugees that come over. And certain far right groups have taken advantage of this situation and kind of doubled down in this particular area. So there's a lot of anti-refugee sentiment in this area, and that's because of the situation. It's been taken advantage of, and we're looking to. It's looking like there's going to be a big reform surge in my area. So that's. It'll be interesting to see if that actually comes into action. Online, there's a lot of sentiment around reform in the area, so it'll be good to see if it actually comes out. But there is also some more local organising going on in terms of looking at certain organisations looking at alternative and kind of blocking that, and also education as well. Education is really important. If you think about it. If you're an individual who's lived in the UK or your whole life, and if you're a working class man, and because of the cost of living crisis, because of these ongoing issues, you're going to be more susceptible to kind of agendas that are being thrown online and people spewing hate. So for those individuals, we kind of have to sympathize with them to an extent, and we have to open up and have conversations with them, and that's the only way forward. I think we have to have open and honest conversations with people across the spectrum, and through that, it's going to create bridges, and then hopefully we can kind of go from there. But yeah, really
Perfect.
interesting
Yeah.
in my area.
Perfect. It's really interesting as well. So I'm gonna leave you all. Thank you for having me. For those that are watching at home, I really appreciate your time. Do give us a feedback. Do get involved with Muslim Council of Britain. I'm gonna introduce Zahra. Zahra's gonna take over for the next hour, inshallah, and more, to take us forward. Zahra's a very active volunteer with the Muslim Council of Britain and an ambassador for us. He's been also a very active. Mosque volunteer and leads some of mosque activities, sister circles, community fund days, and she's very active not just at local mosque but at the community level, and been very active locally in trying to encourage people to get out and vote, register to vote, and a champion in her own right. Zahra, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to leave you and Hamza to take the next hour. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great evening. Assalamu
Thank you
alaikum
very
from
much,
me.
Abdullah.
Take
Have a
care.
nice rest of your day. Cheers.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Zahra, and as Abdullah kindly has introduced me, I'm one of just a volunteer at the Muslim Council of Britain, and a Get Out to Vote champion as well. So it's lovely and a pleasure to be here. How's it going, Hamza? What's the mood like where you are?
It's going well. So I just talked about it. So in my local area, there's typically a Labour stronghold. It's going to be shifting towards reform, And this isn't just about conservative voters going reform. We're seeing a lot of Labour voters go reform. So it's something interesting to kind of look at and find out why this is happening. So yeah, really interesting. How about yourself? What's going on in your area?
So my area is definitely a Labour stronghold. Council is run by Labour lead because they have a majority of councillors. Actually, my area was in West London, was for many years actually Conservative, quite conservative background to it. And I think when you have a conservative kind of background, there's a certain culture that is involved. However, it shifted to Labour, and it has been for many years. But I think this is the most excited, and I say that in a both positive and negative way, that their local councillors have been, because I don't think my door has been knocked this much in ever, like in
Amazing.
any other election. And I think that's something that we all share in common across the UK, to be honest. It's the first time that we've actually had local councillors engage with the general public. Never really had that before. I don't know. What do you think? Is that something that has happened in your area as well? Or is that the feedback that you're getting from your other get out to vote champions or other people in your area?
Yeah, definitely. I am seeing a lot of other parties kind of come in, and I think when you look at the political situation in the UK, typically we had your mainstream parties, Labour versus Conservatives, and for the first time in our history, we're starting to see a complete shift. Right, there's a complete shift in the way people are now viewing politics. It's not about voting Labour or Conservative. People are now looking at alternative parties, and those alternative parties, if we look at the polling, are coming and they're we're seeing them head to head with some of the mainstream parties, and because of that, it's kind of incentivizing people. I think people are now more confident in providing a vote away from the mainstream parties, and with that, people are getting more politically engaged. Before, you kind of had your establishment parties, and through that you had barriers to entry, and not everyone felt like they were engaged. And now the doors are opened, and now anything's possible. You don't know who's going to win, and that kind of brings a level of excitement to it as well. And then we're definitely seeing that across the UK.
So we have Lara, who is in Cardiff at the moment. So let's go and invite her on. Let's see what's going on in Cardiff at the moment, because Wales and the area, just like Scotland, have interesting local elections because they also have their parliamentary elections going on. So let's see what the mood is with Lara. Is she coming on?
That's me.
Welcome, Lara and Nushra from Cardiff.
Hello. So we are here outside. Hold on, can you see Nushra? Yeah. We are here outside of the polling station in the city centre, Cardiff Library Hub, and we are going to be interviewing some people around. The turnout is
has been
incredible.
amazing. A lot of people have been coming in and out, so we're just waiting for this after people.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, guys, what's the mood like in Cardiff? Like, what have you been out campaigning? Have you done any canvassing? What's going on there?
Can you repeat the question?
I said, so what's the mood like in Cardiff? Have you done any canvassing? Have you been out and spoken to people? We're discussing how these local elections have been quite unique. There's been more of a political engagement in these local elections that have never been before. So what's the mood like in Cardiff right now? I think we're losing connectivity on them.
Yeah, there has been some canvassing even outside this library. Like 30 minutes ago, there was a Green Party candidate standing here and canvassing for a Green Party. In terms of our university has done a lot of initiatives to encourage people to vote. So yeah, I think that there's been some motion to vote.
Within the Islamic Society, we have conducted a series of interviews, not series of interviews, but videos with 5 candidates in Zainab Akbar, and we've been able to get some of her thoughts and some of 5 emotions. That's been the university's engagement with politics.
Yeah, so it's been going good. A lot of people have been turning up, a lot of people have been engaging, people have been sharing in social media. So it's pretty good. Like even right now, there's families walking around. Yeah, we're just waiting to catch a few people to come outside to interview them.
Over back to you in the studio.
Awesome. Thanks. So we'll catch up in a bit. Hopefully we'll have some more information from Cardiff. They seem quite positive about their outlook on the local elections, inshallah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see how local elections are kind of in how, what local elections are like in Wales compared to England.
Yeah.
So yeah, really
I think they
interesting
have more
insight.
options when it comes to those areas. So let's see. I think we have another brother we could bring on. It's Brother Marshall from Manchester.
Manchester is something that would be really interesting. It's got a relatively big Muslim population,
Yeah,
and typically it's been a very strong Labour stronghold. But as we've
it
seen in the
has.
recent
Yeah.
by-election, there was an important. We've seen a green win, so that kind of
Definitely.
shook up
Yeah.
the table, right? So what are we going to see in Manchester?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, especially because it is a stronghold of. Yeah, I mean, Andy Burnham was the mayor, or is the mayor rather, I think. There, so it'll be interesting to hear from someone from the ground in Manchester. We'll wait for them to come on, inshallah, and then we'll see. So something interesting that came up. So we did the local politics 101 webinar last week, and there was something that really interesting. One of the speakers was saying, and what they were saying was that local elections are basically like, imagine it's a grassroots movement, right? And the bigger party, or the bigger like organization in this in layman's terms, wants to know what the mood of the public is like, and how they gauge what the mood of the public is like is how local elections go. So it's like to figure out what the army is feeling, they go to like the ground troops to see like what their mood is and what the feeling is amongst them, and it often is an indication for any future general election, because that's where they essentially get the mood of the public from. What do you think of like that as a concept, to say like whether how do you think like these local elections will kind of impact the mood of the political atmosphere at the moment?
I think there's a lot of significance to it. But we even heard Nigel Farage say that this is one of the most important local elections ahead of the general election, right? So if he's stressing it, he's putting all of his efforts in. He even came to my local town, which is very small. So you're seeing a lot of time and money and effort spent on these local elections. So it should show, like, indicate the significance behind them. These aren't your ordinary local elections. There's quite a lot of weight behind them. There's a lot of issues on the table. You've got kind of far right parties. You also got Muslims still pushing the Gaza issue, and with the kind of perception that they're not happy with Labour on their performance on Gaza. So you've got that side of things. You've got cost of living crisis. You've got local issues as well. And it's just it's all kind of merging together, and it's probably one of the most popular local elections I think we've ever seen. Parts of it were meant to be cancelled, and then they were then reinstated. So there's a bit of drama around it as well. So really kind of interesting to see, and absolutely all parties will be watching to see how these elections are going to be performing across each and every party. Labour are going to be looking, and if Labour are expected to lose the amount they are expected, we could see Keir Starmer resign, and there's been a lot of kind of news articles around that as well. So that would be interesting, and Reform are going to be looking at areas that they're going to be pushing, and on the left-hand side you've got Greens, Liberal Democrats, and typically historically they have worked together in some areas. But with Greens, Liberal Democrats, and Independents, I guess this is kind of now where they're going to be weighing up how powerful they really are, and that might come into play when it comes to conversations around working together. Everyone wants to be on the A side when it comes to that conversation, so it'll be interesting to see who pulls up first in the local elections.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't mentioned another side to it. We've had an unprecedented amount of independents who have been standing in there. So they are not involved in party politics, so to speak. They're either standing as because they feel as though the current representatives are not representative of their own belief systems, as in their morals, or how they how they deem that the local area should be run in a particular area, or that the candidates that are standing are just not viable enough, they're not good enough for their particular area, and they've taken a different stance on it. So that would be interesting to see, just like the general elections where we had a good number of independents as well winning. Hamza, I think Murshid is ready in Manchester, so let's welcome him.
Okay, amazing.
Murshid, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. How are you all doing?
We're all good. What is Manchester like today?
Manchester today, it was sunny earlier, but now it's overcast and it's raining. And I feel like a weatherman right now.
Let's hope that's not precedent for the local elections that are coming up. So it'll be interesting to see. What's the mood like on the ground? We were discussing, Murshid, how there's been a lot of changes. Like this is a very unprecedented local elections. We've never had so much furor when it comes to figuring out what's going to happen, and the get out to vote, and encouraging people to cast their vote, etc. This has been an unprecedented drive. Do you think, has it been mirrored in Manchester like it is with the rest of the country?
Yeah, it has. Manchester is a multicultural hub. Honestly, the diversity here is amazing. And it's really important to engage the local community as well as the masajid that are here. And right now I'm literally standing outside Birchfield Primary School. I'm outside the nursery right now. This is the local hub for my area as well. And I've been to 3 different polling stations today, just, with some of my friends and just seeing friends as well. And after work, and everyone's up and about, even till now, after almost 9 p.m. It's Maghrib time here. People are still here out to vote. And, trying to predict things beforehand isn't always going to be always best for the mood, but it's about action day. It's about registration, like to get out to vote champions. That's the entire plan for that, to actually make people register, to make people actually vote, get off the couches. And I think that's what is being attempted here, and that is what is happening.
So are you a get out to vote via polling station person, or are you a postal voter yourself?
So for myself, I'm a get out to vote champion in terms of the Federation of Student Islam Society side. So for FOSIS, I'm currently the North Chair for FOSIS as well. So with what MCB is doing, and it's truly been inspiring because we're an affiliate to them as well. And it's been really amazing to see everyone across the country sign up to this initiative and show so much support. It shows that even though we're miles apart from each other, with different local communities, with different traditions, we can all come together for a singular initiative.
Amazing. So are you going to speak to any people outside the polling stations in order to get their kind of views across?
Yes, I've actually reserved Brother Javed here and his son over here to actually interview. I'm just going to ask him a couple of questions actually. I'll just stick to myself, the camera over here. So, Brother Javed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Javed. So, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. How's it been in your community with the voting turnout?
Yeah, it's been very popular actually this time around with the rise of the far right. There's a lot of people that probably would have stayed at home. Are coming out now to actually vote, to make sure that parties like Reform are not going to be able to get into power. So it's extremely important. I think we've seen the turnout as well, a lot bigger than previous years. So it's really good to see that. We've had a lot of representation outside the masjid at Jummah, handing out flyers and explaining what their intentions are. So yeah, it's been very, very encouraging. And again, seeing the turnout today has been very encouraging as well.
That's good. Do you think that people were? Don't worry, that's not for us at all. We're perfectly legal to do interviews out here. Do you think, with everything that's going on right now, that people will be more likely to vote in the future as well for the elections coming up ahead? It's a good start.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Again, as I say, I think people have woken up now with the rise of the far right hatred, and everybody needs to come together and fight back really with their votes. Because I think in the past people just kind of been asleep, really, just not really bothered about it. But it's more important now than ever. And I think we are seeing people campaigning from the different parties, knocking on the doors and everything. So it's good to see them come out and speak about issues that are going to affect us. So yeah, it's good.
And final question from me, like the future is very, very important. I can see your son over there playing over there in the background. Yeah. Have you explained to him what voting means, or will you explain to him what voting means after today?
Yeah.
And how important it is?
Well, he's been with us today. He's been adamant that he wanted to put down the cross on the ballot. So he's aware of it. He's aware of the importance, not just from a political perspective, but from an Islamic perspective as well. So, yeah, as you can see, he's loving being out in this environment at the minute. So, inshallah, they can grow up and be leaders for our society in the future as well.
Jazakallah khair, brother. So we're just going to go back to the studio. If you guys can still hear me. Inshallah.
We can indeed. Thank you so much for that. Was an amazing interview. Nice perspectives on the ground. Awesome. Just wanted to ask you before you come off. Tell us in your area, what do you think is the kind of general mood? Like you said that they're positive, they're coming out to vote. You've had, we've had a nice interview from the brother who's given some amazing points in terms of the grassroots. But what do you think the mood is on the ground? Do you think the Muslims or the community in Manchester is more politically savvy this time around in terms of their local elections? Or do you think we have a long way to go yet until the general elections hit?
No, I think I'm an optimist, but even then I would say we have a long way to go in terms of educating different demographics within our community, whether it's the youngers, whether it's the young adults, whether it's the elders, whether it's my uncles or my dad, is to, really decolonize their mindset, really get them to wake up. Because sometimes people put their eggs in one basket and they just leave it there for decades. Sometimes that needs to change. So it's about educating the different demographics, and we still have a long way to go. This is only the beginning. And I think especially Manchester is there. The soil is fertile. It's up to us to go there, plant those seeds and water them along the years that come along and educate them. I think it'll be very, very fruitful.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for your time. We have Laura and Nasha from Cardiff. We'll be back, and I think she has someone to interview. So this will be interesting.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Kind gentleman to interview.
Amazing.
Hello.
So take it away.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Prabhat Tiwari. I live in Cardiff. I moved here a year ago and I just voted.
So, what matters to you in these elections?
Well, the jobs are the first thing. I see that the cleanliness in Cardiff is very important, which is not up to the level. The roads are very, very bad. Yeah, these are the main things. And I have never felt any unsafe things in Cardiff Central. I live in quite central, but I've heard the issues.
Is it like issues with racism and being attacked, or feeling unsafe as a person of color?
Not to me in particular, but I think, yeah, I have friends who have faced some issues. Haven't felt anything in the central, but if you go a bit outside of the Cardiff Central,
like the valleys?
Maybe, yeah, you can say the valleys. Not happened with me, but there are cases.
So what changes do you want to see within Britain, within Cardiff specifically?
Well, I do want to see that there is more inclusiveness. And for example, this library itself, this is even less, like it's in the center of the capital. This is one of the worst libraries you can be in. There are 4 floors. There is no particular floor where you can just sit and read in in silence. There is no working space. Maybe they should improve it first.
So you want public spaces to be reviewed and improved so that altogether Cardiff can be a more livable area and city?
Yes.
So you want it to be more functional?
Yeah, and I think if you come here at Saturday, I live right next to the stadium, and you can, they do so many concerts in the stadium, so many. If there's a concert season going on, you can't do anything. You cannot actually go and walk on after 10. You cannot walk on this street. They just block all the roads for the concert. and they do concert every other week. I won't complain about the noise. They say that they have some noise inspector, but it's just worse. It's
It's
not a
difficult to live and to work in Cardiff.
yeah. It's not. It's I think they're just trying to make it very business oriented city, but it's just there. Just
But then
to
do you
come
feel like they're risking quality of life?
yeah, it's not the business where you are going to create jobs or something. It's a very event related industry in Cardiff. It's not good for a long run. You cannot do with anything. You can do nothing about those kind of market. And, you won't find any independent cafes in this Cardiff city. All of these are chains. I, I don't think that they want to have a place where everybody who is local will feel part of the city. Unlike Bristol is quite independent city and everybody can feel the part of it. Cardiff is going a bit more corporate kind of structure.
You want Cardiff to kind of be more representative of itself
Yeah.
than trying to be something else.
Yeah, not just become a shopping district. Not just for the people who come here for a day and attend all the events and maybe by the mornings, people who actually live here cannot work on the street.
That's very valuable. Thank you so much. So in conclusion, you want Cardiff to be more livable, Cardiff to be more representative of itself, and you would like there to be altogether better conditions for people to actually, the better libraries, better roads, better pathways, better ways of engaging with the city.
Oh yeah, if I'm giving the council tax for that, I think I should have more
yeah.
for my city than all the tourists who just come here and make this city worse because I think the councillors here are just taking the back pockets.
In a similar sense or essence, can I ask you what the NHS has been meaning?
Well, very fortunately after having fallen in the past 2 3 years, I haven't had much experience with NHS. If you call them, what I thought that you can get the free medications here, but I don't think it's the case. They won't prescribe you lot many medicines. You have to go. Even then, you won't get it. So it's quite bad. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Back to you in the studio.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. So we have a short video to be played now, and then we'll see you in a moment, guys.
Ramadan isn't just about reflection, it's about responsibility and action. Right now, British Muslims are facing real challenges. Rising Islamophobia, housing pressures, and unsafe streets for our youth. And councils making decisions without us at the table. Local councils decide on schools, parks, housing, youth services, and community safety. When we don't vote, these decisions are made for us. And lately, candidates with open prejudice are gaining ground. Our vote is how we protect our communities and shape a better future for everyone, whether they're Muslim or not. The registration deadline is just a few weeks after Eid. It takes minutes to register, but the impact lasts years. If you're eligible, register before the deadline. Remind your family, send it on your group chat, and show up when it's time. Let's turn reflection into action this Ramadan and be hungry for change.
Nice little promo over there. So that was good. Hopefully everyone has voted by now, but it's not too late. There is still 1 hour to go. It'd be interesting to see what you guys in the comments section think. Is this the first time you guys have voted? Have you guys typically voted for before? Have you guys voted for a new party this year? It would be really interesting to hear what your thoughts and opinions are. So really keen to hear that. And feel free to kind of drop some comments and we'll read them as well. Just want to... Oh, hi Zara, you're back. Hope you're doing well.
All good on my end.
just mentioning that there's still 1 hour to go if people
There
haven't
is.
voted yet. So last push. If you've never voted in your life, it would be a good year to start. Time to kind of jump on board and get involved. It's good when you see there's like a general movement. If there's a general movement at the moment in terms of driving young voters, driving new voters, and why not join in? Why not jump in? So this is the time, I think, inshallah.
And also, it's important too. I mean, we're stressing the importance of engagement here. We're stressing the importance of politics in itself. Now, you may hear politics and think, really? Like, I've been hearing this all over my news, I've been hearing it all over social media. Like, is it really that important to my life? Or I'm bored of it, quite frankly. And it affects our day-to-day decisions. I mean, these local elections are really like a prime example of how politics affects your life, because you don't think of road repair or rubbish pickup or even your Department of Education that will decide the curriculum for your schools, or planning permission for your masjid or your madrasa, etc., to be political issues. You don't consider them. You consider them social issues, maybe. You might consider them as a part of it. But no, actually, they are all political issues. It's just how deep in politics they actually are. And we need to learn to make the link between that which affects our day-to-day life and that which affects our long-term life as well, because it all is encompassing and it all will have an impact on not only us here and now, but also us in the future and our future generations as well. What do you see your life like in 10 years' time? It very much is impacted by the decisions that you make today, whether that be in your personal life, but also politically as well. We have, inshallah, we've got Lindsay Taylor from Mend, inshallah, who will be joining us soon. So I'd like to invite her on. Assalamu alaikum, Lindsay. How are you this evening?
Wa alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Amazing, amazing. So tell me, were you a postal voter or did you go to the local ballots?
Always local ballots. I love to go to the polling station and just soak up the environment and see everybody that's there.
Yeah, and I think it's actually really important for, like, as someone who's like visibly Muslim and also like a Muslim woman, to actually go out. Today I had my niece and nephew with me. They're young, they're like 6 years old, and going to be 7 probably, but they're very young, and we were talking about so trying to convince my sister-in-law to go out and vote, and my brother was like, yeah, the suffragettes, like they gave us they went out and they struggled, and you have to use that power that they kind of instilled. And to a 6-year-old, anything that sounds like suffrage sounds quite horrible if you think about it. It doesn't sound like something that you want to partake in. So he really wondered about it, and I was like, that's a conversation for another day, my friend. So maybe not for a 6-year-old, but for you and I, definitely it's something that is because as people who are visibly Muslim, it's nice to go to the polling station and kind of show that you're using your right to vote, and you're absolutely not only entitled to do so, but we're committed to the cause here. So what's the mood like in your area politically? These local elections have been probably one of the most interesting local elections in history.
So for me, it's not local elections. For me, it is the devolved government elections. I'm up here in Glasgow, and so just when you were talking about the suffrage, that was the first message that I woke up to this morning. Was one of my cousins had put that on Facebook, saying as she walks to the polling station before work, she has the weight of 1,000 or thousands of women on her shoulder who fought for this right, who fought for us to be able to vote. So alhamdulillah, that was like, okay, yeah, no, I better go and vote, better remember to go and do that. But no, the mood in Glasgow has been really good. I live in a really Muslim area in Glasgow, so when I went to the polling station, there's lots of Muslims around, lots of actually it's a really diverse community, so there's lots of people from all different places, and there's loads of men and women, and there was loads of kids running about and stuff like that. So it was really good, it was really nice, and it was busy as well, which was good to see.
Nice, Lindsay. I know Islamophobia is really big when it comes to men and the type of work you do. Does that play a role into these elections? Is Islamophobia an agenda that a lot of people are thinking about when they go into the polls?
Yeah, definitely. I think Islamophobia is really important for people. I think especially with the rise of the far right just now, I think it's one of those things that are really driving people behind that wanting to get out, wanting to get their voice heard. Many people do feel that they are voiceless right now, and voting is one of those ways where we do make sure that we are heard and we do kind of speak up and everything like that. And it's one of those things as well, I think, when it comes to Islamophobia, a lot of people think, are the political parties taking this seriously? And what we saw was for, organisations like the Muslim Vote and other organisations who had policy pledges, what we did see is a lot of parties actually signing up to that and engaging with that, which I think is a really positive move, to be honest with you, because one of those things on the policy pledges was about Islamophobia. And it's that kind of thing, like when we're seeing mosques being targeted and individuals being targeted and just the awful reality of Islamophobia, it's one of those things where a lot of people think, this is the difference that I can make. This is the difference. I can go to the polling station, I can put my, my mark on the person that I want to be in power. And elections are slightly different in Scotland than they are down south. So down south, you put your mark in the box, and if that person gets a majority, then they get in. Whereas in Scotland, we have it slightly different. We have our candidate seat and we also have list seats as well. So that actually it's going to be a really good, fair representation of what our population in Scotland are voting for. So I think here it does make a bit of a difference, and you do really feel that every single vote counts, every single person counts. And I know that we've got, 52 minutes until the polls close. So there is still loads of time, folks. There's still time to get out, put your mark in that box, and I'm saying mark because I know they were supposed to put a cross, but I was reading earlier on one of the news channels that you can, it's not going to be disqualified if you put a tick or a line, or as long as they can tell exactly what you're trying to do and you don't spoil your ballot, that you put some kind of clear mark, then it still counts. And especially in Scotland, every single vote counts. And I know in Wales as well, it's a devolved parliament election as well, and so folks, get out there and vote, get out there and make sure that you're casting that ballot just now.
And just a follow-up question to that. So when we look at Islamophobia and we look at hate crimes, unfortunately there is a recent spike. Do you think that's related to the political climate? And if it is related to the political climate, do you think, are you guys going to be keeping watch after tonight's results?
Definitely, it's one of the things that Ment has always talked about. We talk about it in our training, we talk about it in all of our different trainings, we talk about it when we're in the media, when we're on news channels, when we're everywhere, panel discussions, you name it. One of the big things around Islamophobia is the narrative in the media and politics. It is the fact that Muslim communities, migrant communities, refugee communities, they're used as scapegoats right now. They're used as, it's all their fault, it's all this specific part of the population's fault, that the NHS has got long waiting lines, that you can't see your doctor, that it's difficult to get a job. And it's just not true. That's the thing, it's really just not true. It's bad decisions that are made in political circles, and we need to make sure that we're holding politicians to account, and we need to make sure that especially marginalised minority communities can't be used as scapegoats, can't be used as a political football to try and score goals against each other. These are real people. We are real people with real lives, and 99.9% of all of our society are just people trying to go about their everyday lives and and just get on with things. But unfortunately, we are plagued with Islamophobia. We're plagued with racism. We're plagued with othering, we're plagued with marginalisation. And what we need is politicians who speak up for us, politicians who speak up for minority communities. And I'm talking about all minority communities. We need politicians who actually raise their voice and say, it's enough now. This scapegoating, this fear-mongering, this fear politics is no longer appropriate. It's never been appropriate, to be honest with you, in any way whatsoever. But in this day and age, we can see it rising and rising and rising. And the fact that we saw one of the biggest demonstrations going through the centre of London of people who were actually calling for all Muslims to be removed from the UK was absolutely horrendous. But what was amazing was then seeing the opposite, seeing the Together rally where people were actually raising their voice and saying, no, everybody counts. Everybody, is entitled to go about their everyday business without fear from the far right, without fear of anything. So I think politics has a massive part to play. They have a massive part to play in the Islamophobia that we're seeing, but they also have a massive part to play to actually make this community and society more cohesive and actually do the work to get rid of fear politics.
Amazing to hear. Final question. So we also, you mentioned the hate march. There's one expected to happen. I think, is it next month or the next couple of months?
Yeah.
Next week.
What's Men doing in terms of that? How are you going to approach that? So one's happened already. There were obviously awful incidents that took place. So now we kind of know what we're going to expect. What's Men going to do in terms of their approach to the second rally?
So one of the things we can do is help educate people about what's happening and what the rally actually means and why, the far right are able to do these kind of rallies. That's one of the things that we are doing. We're trying to put out information about fear politics and why the environment that we're living in now is allowing this kind of rally to be able to go ahead and to take root in our country, which is absolutely appalling. So that's one of the things that we're doing. One of the things that we're also looking to do is to write to the government to call it out. And we also highlight to people, like to everybody, write to your MPs, write to your MSPs, write to your councillors, write to absolutely everybody. We should be having an action alert going out early next week around it. But obviously it's been that thing of the elections have been here and everything, so that's been all the attention. But we really do need to focus on this rally, and we're going to get, as I said, that action alert saying write to the people with power, and that is your local councillors, that is your MSPs, your MPs, your MWPs for in Wales and so forth, or sorry, MSPs, and it's write to them and highlight that this is not appropriate to be taking part in our streets. This is not appropriate for these kind of marches to be happening anywhere in the UK where these people think that it's okay for people to get up on stage and say that Muslims or any community should not be here and any community should have violence against them. We heard calls for violence in that last rally, and that was absolutely appalling. So for me, it's about writing to the people in power. That's why we vote. That's why we get out and vote. That's why we put these people into these positions, is so that we can hold them accountable and so that they can act for the benefit of society, not for the benefit of a small group of people, but the benefit of the whole of society. We are part of that society, and so we need to hold politicians of all levels to account and make sure that our voices are heard.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsay. So I'm going to, I know Hamza said that was the final question, but I have another one for you. What do you think success looks like? Because you've got these local elections, right? Now, these are really a testing ground, like as explained before when we did the previous webinar, Local Politics 101. They use local politics and they use the parliament elections that are happening in Scotland, or also the elections that are happening in Wales as devolved areas, to kind of get a sense on the ground of what's going on with the grassroots community. What is the feel of people like on the ground? So what do you, from obviously a men perspective, but also from a Muslim community perspective, do you think we have a long way to go in terms of politically educating, or do you think like we're on our path in order to kind of politically engage and promote political engagement within the Muslim community, especially in the run-up? We could be having a general election sooner rather than later, according to local political polls and commentators. What's your take on it?
Do you know, I'm going to be honest and say I don't necessarily think it's lack of political education which has been the issue for many years. I think for a long time the big issue has been that many Muslims and many within our community feel so detached from politics because politics hasn't been there to support our community, that actually many people have not engaged with voting. I know when I speak to my friends, when I speak to family members, when I speak to wider community, most people within our community, they understand the importance of voting. They understand, what the different elections are for and all this kind of stuff. And, so politically there is knowledge there. But what has happened is that, I think, and from what we've seen, is that especially so young people, they feel so marginalized from the process that they're not engaging in the process. But what I'm seeing is a massive shift, to be honest with you. And I'm seeing engagement at a level that I haven't seen before, especially from young people within our community. You know, for first time, I think in England, 16-year-olds were able to vote. In Scotland, 16-year-olds have been voting for a little while now. So in England, 16-year-olds. So that was really great.
It was a bit slow to catch up with Scotland, so you know.
It usually takes a while for England to catch up with Scotland on things like that. So, you know.
It's the land of iron brew and shortbread, so why not?
Exactly. Iron
Two
brew,
of my
it means that
favourite
we're always a piece ahead of everyone. You know, it gives us lots of energy. But you know, it's that thing of I think the tide is shifting for the Muslim community. But I think not just for the Muslim community, I think for many within the left, I think the tide is also shifting. There is a galvanizing, and I think this is the time, folks. This is definitely the time. I really hope that tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening in Scotland, they're not doing the count until tomorrow daytime, so we won't see till tomorrow evening. Obviously, in England, they're still doing the count over tonight, so tomorrow morning we'll wake up and hopefully see a positive result at the polls. Hopefully, we're going to see that, you know, our community has been galvanized, that the left has been, you know, engaging with the elections, and that we do see a really positive turnout, and that gives us hope for going into the 2029 general elections. That to me is the hope.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Lindsay.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Bye now.
Cheers.
Bye.
Really good insights from Lindsay.
Yeah, amazing. It's always nice to hear from different areas of the United Kingdom, because although they are markedly different in terms of having their own parliamentary elections and their local elections, as she explained, it's interesting how, like, the different areas, although we have different issues going on, there is a thread of similarities between what we're facing. When we did the town halls for Muslim Council of Britain last year, in addition to cost of living, which was also an issue, youth issues, one of the top issues that came across the board, across all sectors, communities, ages, different groups, was Islamophobia, which is interesting because if you're like a 16-year-old living in Newham, or you're a professional working in Canary Wharf, or you're somebody from West Yorkshire who is, you know, local, like Imam, the one thing that came up time and time again was Islamophobia. So it's such an important issue to be tackling, and something that definitely is weaponized in certain places on both sides of the spectrum, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think what we need to also look at is highlight areas in where Islamophobia is increasing, and kind of look at correlation, right? So is Islamophobia increasing because there's more, more noise on the mainstream media given to certain individuals? Is Islamophobia increasing in areas where certain parties are being voted in, or certain councillors are being voted in? Is it empowering people on the ground to be more open in terms of, you know, expressing the racism? So it's really going to be interesting times, and I think we should also be kind of capturing and keeping an eye out on these trends, because understanding these trends will give us kind of a foundation in how to kind of combat this, right? So Lindsay talked about writing to your local MPs, writing to your local councillors. We've got to politically engage to counter these ongoing issues. I feel like as Muslims living in the UK, we've lived in a bit of a bubble, right? It's over the past few decades, alhamdulillah, we've lived very peaceful lives, and you know, it's been great, right? But now the political climate's shifting, and you know, the way we live as Muslims in the UK could drastically change over the next few years. Across Europe, you don't have to go that far, but across Europe, you're seeing imams being arrested, you're seeing restrictions on the way people dress.
Just across the pond, to be honest, not even across like the...
Extremely unfortunate, right? And I feel like as Muslims, you know, we got to understand that we've been living in a bit of a bubble, and that these risks are real, and it could all change when it comes to the next general election, and we need to really be cognizant of that. and understand what we can do from now until then to combat that. So I think political engagement is key.
So we have a new guest that's we have another guest that's come to our live session today. We've got Shaukat Adam, who is the MP for Leicester. So let's have him come on.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Hamza, Sister Zara. How are you all tonight?
We are very well, alhamdulillah. Shaukat, what's the mood like in Leicester?
Leicester's great, mashallah. We've got a bit of calm before the storm because we don't have elections this year. We've got elections next year, so we're just seeing.
You guys basically are just looking and learning from everybody else's
You always told me there was a reason I have one mouth and two ears, right? So I don't talk much. I'm just listening at this moment in time and learning from all of you guys.
Yeah,
Sure,
amazing.
I've got a question. So obviously, you came on board as an independent, and at that time, it was a very new concept, right? Independence actually going on and winning was something that happened on very rare occasions, but you decided to take that step. My question is, what firstly motivated you to take that step, and what kind of gave you the confidence that you'd kind of go in and actually have a good chance of winning?
So that's a great question, and I get it asked frequently. It was something that I didn't take lightly because I've always been an advocate of, and possibly still am, that we must be part of a political system and a political vehicle in order to be the most effective. The infrastructure and the support one gets. There was two reasons, if I break it down, to why I, after a lot of contemplation, decided to go as an independent. One was my interactions with my predecessor and just listening to the political class. And there was this notion, which was clearly articulated to me, that, where are you going to go without us? Now, you can't really do it without us anyway. And if you don't vote for us, we'll find another group of people to vote for us. And I thought, this was complete. There's a lot of phrases I can use, but I won't at this moment in time. But to be polite, there was a sense of blasé and expectancy that, the Muslim community or the general community in this area, Leicester has been a Red Leicester Labour stronghold for many decades. And it was just taking our vote for granted. So I thought, there was a real opportunity here for them, if not to win, at least to give them a political scare of their lifetime. And that was one reason. And the second reason was this sentiment was being echoed by the general populace as well, that, we can't do it. We can't do it without the political class. It's not for us. It's not something that we really have been engaged in. And it was very interesting to hear your conversations that, we are living in a bubble and we were reliant on others to do it for us. So for my ambition and my niyat or intention were twofold. One was to teach the political classes that, we can do it without you. And it's a long shot, but we can organize, we can get together, we can strategize, and we can do this. And to teach all communities that, you can do it yourself as well. You don't always have to rely on other people. And those two things were the main, one of the motivators when I was having extremely hard time during the campaign to keep me going, along with everybody's du'as as well, obviously.
That's amazing, and you've basically set out the foundation for other individuals to go on and take on an independent path and actually be victorious in that. I'm curious, so when it comes to next year's local elections, are you planning to organize and actually go in and then put up independent candidates in areas around Leicester, or does your kind of job end at here? You're an MP, you're not going to kind of go take that step? What's your game plan?
Well, I'm going to give you a political answer there. Obviously, I've been in the job nearly for 2 years, right? On the day of my election, I was, I don't know how many to one, if you were a betting man, to even become a member of parliament. And that was on election day. They had me down as other to win. So if you say you were a betting man, you would be very wealthy by now if you had put your money next to my name. What's going to happen next year is going to be something that, I've been thinking and working very hard. I'm an individual that just doesn't go into things. I do have a whole plan and a strategy beforehand. And I feel that real changes can happen in Leicester. In what shape or form that is going to be, you'll have to wait and see. but I'm not. I will be looking at next year's council election in some shape or form.
Okay, amazing to hear.
Amazing. What have you? Is there anything from other campaigns that you've seen around the United Kingdom that you are looking at in terms of like something that could potentially work in Leicester? I mean, there's different approaches that we're taking that different people are being advised to, like across the UK. So we're looking at like strategic voting or voting according to one's like preferred personal belief, you know, in terms of, you know, something that's more party politics than local politics. Like, is there anything that's highlighted to you across certain campaigns that you've seen that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, look, every city has its unique flavour, and I think that's really, really important. And one of our successes here that we personalised our campaign to as a South. We have been in a very different family, literally a couple of kilometres away, if that. So it has to be a very unique perspective from where you are campaigning to. And I think it's the universal truth is vote for the person or the individual that is going to be a benefit to the whole country and who's going to be a benefit to yourselves and the people that live in your constituency. You know, there was before there was no choice because, you know, people say, oh, you can't vote for the established parties, but no one gave them an alternative. We now have alternatives where one can vote, hopefully with their hearts and their heads, because both can be achieved in terms of the quagmire or the question that is asking. These are local elections. What has that got to do with international issues? So, you know, so why would you vote for somebody that may align with you on global matters, but can they really deliver on local matters? And that's a really relevant question to ask. So one has to think, yes, that's a good point. But now we have, for the first time, I believe, an opportunity to vote for somebody who can align with both matters, that aligns with you internationally, with your conscience, with your belief system, with your ethics, with your morality, and hopefully will sort out the potholes outside your house.
Amazing. So I have another question. This is probably a little bit more personal in terms of your experience as an independent, someone who's been successful in as an independent in your independent candidacy, and also in your kind of electioneering as well, when you won the elections. So what would you give as advice to somebody who is either looking to vote for someone who is independent over their usual party politics that they may consider? I mean, we've got half an hour left until the polls close. Maybe there's somebody out there who's listening to this live and also will think like, am I considering voting for someone who's independent over someone who either is already a very strong seat in that area or is aligned with a particular party?
Well, first of all, make sure you do go out and vote. It's something that, you know, we can't take for granted. It's a real blessing that we have that opportunity in this country, and I don't say that lightly. So please do go out and vote. In order to answer your question, I think go back to my previous point, is that you vote for the person that you feel, and if it is an independent that is now going to give you that opportunity, take that brave step that the people of Leicester South took a real brave decision to give me their vote after what my previous my predecessor, I think up to 2 elections ago, had a majority of over 30,000. So, you know, that is a real amana on my shoulders. And I can assure you, if it's the right person, you've done your homework, they will repay you back in their commitment to try their best for you. Because people won't take this lightly. They don't go out their way to stand in these positions. In the majority of the cases, obviously, I'm generalizing it just for the sake of it. They will be committed to achieving your goals as a voter, and they will be only accountable to you. See, one of there's disadvantages of being an independent, and I'm perfectly honest about that, but one of the advantages is you're not answerable to anybody but your constituents. You're not answerable to a leader, you're not answerable to a whip, you're only answerable to your constituents, the people that voted you in. And by voting, by putting your tick, your cross next to that name, you can hold that person a lot more accountable than somebody in a party political system. Now, if it's strategic voting and you think the person of a political party will be the best option over another political party, then please make that informed choice.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And as you've said, you've got another half an hour to anybody listening. So please do use your vote. Go out and vote.
Can I come in and ask one question before Showkat goes?
Sure.
I know it's getting late and you might have an early morning, but just one quick question. So as you're now an MP, you've been an MP for a couple of years now, what's the most surprising thing, or maybe give me a couple, or that you've experienced as being an MP in the United Kingdom?
Most surprising thing, oh gosh, that's I think you're gonna have to wait for my book. Really, it's every day's a learning day. I get some incredible.
Put me on the list. I'm buying it first.
Yeah, I get some incredible requests by constituents. I think there's a lack of political literacy amongst people about exactly what a member of parliament does, right? And marital issues is not one of the things that we were really trained to resolve, or mother-in-laws not getting on with their daughter-in-laws. Another classic one was, I said to, Auntie, how do you expect, what do you want me to do to help you out with your daughter-in-law? And she went, you know what, when she kicks me out of the house, I will become homeless. Then it will be your problem, won't it? So sort it now. So it's foresight, right? So brilliant. So I'll end up on that. There's so many surprises. Every single day is a learning day. But you guys are doing an incredible job. And can I just say, before I leave, that MCB are doing absolutely brilliant. The night before a council election, and unheard of, a show by the MCB, it does. I know sometimes it feels we're really far behind, but this is a real step in the right direction. So Allah bless you all, inshallah.
I mean, Jazakallah khair, Brother Shawkat. Thank you so much. And with that, we're wrapping up tonight. So you've got a few more minutes. So we're going to log everybody. We're going to stop the live so that people have a chance to go out and use their vote, and also convince other people who may not. If someone's lazing around drinking tea, guys, this is not your time to do that. You can come back and do it. The poll station definitely not that far away from your house either. Just to wrap up, we have a lot of good work going on with Muslim Council of Britain at the moment. We have our regional growth labs. We've got London, which is coming up on the 14th of May, which I think is the first one that's going on. And we've got other regional labs. Please do follow on our social media. You can check out there's links there to the growth labs and to book your spaces for it. Affiliates do get a special rate, so it's always an incentive in order to come. However, there are people who wish to attend those growth labs because they are capacity building ones. So there's different workshops that are happening to kind of lift up and uplift your particular organization, whether that's speech writing, whether that's finance, whether that's fundraising. There's all sorts of different areas that we can kind of discuss. And there's also a really interesting one on prophetic leadership. So it's really interesting to see all the different areas that we can kind of assist our community in and build the capacity for our organizations to do well in the future. Any last closing words from you, Hamza?
No, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you've all voted. It's a bit late now if you haven't, but it's not too late, so do get out. But no, Jazakallah, thank you very much. Optimistic. I'm a bit more optimistic now from when I initially started this call. Obviously, I'm in an area where there's a lot of kind of far right parties getting popular, but now kind of seeing and engaging with everyone on call has really kind of changed my perspective. So it's really good to hear.
Amazing. And positivity is prophetic, because even amongst the darkest of times, we are taught by our Prophet ﷺ that we remain positive during these times. So no matter where you are in the UK, even if you face different things, where the Muslim Council of Britain has the regional areas, we have regional leads. I am actually the London regional lead, so you might see me around at different events within London regarding Muslim Council of Britain, but we have different regional leads, and there are hubs that we can kind of assist in, so you can connect whether you are part of a Muslim Council of Britain or not. But we do hope that you will at least be friends of Muslim Council of Britain and subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on Instagram, on X, on YouTube. We do shoot out a lot of videos and content, inshallah. So with that, we're wrapping up today's MCB election night live, and hopefully we'll have more updates from you tomorrow and the day after. Thank you very much, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.